texting me. Yeah. All right, so we might get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome to New in Law. Welcome to those of you in the room. Welcome to those of you, the JD students who are online. I'll just jump to the next slide. Actually, before I do some introductions and a little bit of housekeeping. Okay, cool. Rob will manage. Yep, cool. We've got a couple of QR codes on the screen. They will appear throughout multiple screens this morning, but I would love it if you can please scan them, those in the room particularly, to give us a little bit of feedback. Those of you online, if you can't actually get the Zoom working enough to be able to do that, I think Rob will drop them in the chat for you, drop the links in the chat. So this is just to get us a little bit of an idea about who's joining us, how you're feeling about starting your law studies, and we'll actually put the results up a little bit later. It's all anonymous, but it will just help us to get a bit of a picture of who we have both in the room and online joining us, who our new cohort of students is. So I'll just pause for a second for those taking pictures of it. And we don't seem to, sorry, slight tech issue. All right, so this is me. I'm Sam Contra. I'm our teaching program director for our law program here at Flinders. I teach into both the undergrad degree as well as into the JD. So if you're studying one of our first topics, essential legal skills or the Australian legal system, you will see me in your topics. And I'm also running the day-to-day. So a couple of little housekeeping issues or things so that you know about it for the people in the room. So if you head just out onto level 5, the bathrooms are just around and to the right. There's a little kitchenette with a water fountain and things like that just to your left. So we will have a few little breaks throughout the day so that those online as well as those in the room can have a bit of a stretch break. Those in the room with me will also have a bit of a lunch break with some pizza and things like that a little bit later on. All right, so I'm just going to play the university's acknowledgement of country for you.
So I'd like to give a really warm welcome to Flinders University. This is Simona Laka-Tur, and she's our Pro Vice-Chancellor Indigenous.
And this is Professor Romy Lawson, Senior Deputy Vice-Chancellor. And we're located at Yungarenthi in Perilla. We'd like to acknowledge all the traditional owners and custodians on the lands on which our university is located within South Australia and Northern Territory.
And whether you're studying on one of those campuses or online, we warmly welcome you to Flinders University.
Yungarenthi in Perilla means meeting place in Ghana, and we were gifted the word Yungarenthi, which means to impart, to inform and communicate. We're right next to Yungarenthi Truku, the building where our Aboriginal students come and learn.
So to start your journey with Flinders, we're privileged to have Cliffy Wilson with us today. He's here from the Kumakaru and he's going to do a welcome to country for us.
Nyanke Namena, Namani, Nana Cliffy Tanku Manacha Wilson, Nagana, Naranjiri, Naranga, Nadri, Alandamayo. Mariwichanga Gana Miana, Nadlu Tambadi, Nadlu Gana Yatanga Tikandi. Nawanga di Bani Bunigani Yatana, Nachi Yukandalia Yakandalia, Nachalia. Good morning to each and every one of you behind the lens today. My name is Cliffy Wilson, but I also go by Tunku and Manacha, which are both my traditional Ghana names down here in the city of Adelaide. So Tunku is my totem, and my totem is the king brown snake, one of the most dangerous animals in the world. Also, Manacha is just my birth order name, which translates to the fourth born and male of my family. I'm a proud Ghana man from here in the city of Adelaide, but also a proud Dadajeti man from back on the lower lakes of the Coorong and the Fleur Peninsula. My family ties extend out to the Naranga people on the York Peninsula, also to the Nudgee people on the Flinders Ranges, and last but not least, the Aranda people in the Northern Territory of Alice Springs. I'm here this morning at Flinders University in Bedford Park, also known as Yungarenthi in Perilla, which translates to meeting place, which is located on the Ghana lands. And on behalf of the Ghana people, I would like to welcome those who are situated here in Flinders Uni at Bedford Park on Ghana lands, but also welcome those across South Australia who are located on other Aboriginal lands. May we pay respects to the traditional custodians of those regions and also pay respects to their cultural and spiritual beliefs, as it still is important to the living Aboriginal people today. Also, we do have campuses located in Northern Territory, So I'd like to pay respect to the traditional owners of those regions, and to the staff and students, may we take care of these campuses and the surrounding communities of these areas like the Aboriginal people have for many thousands of years. But also, may we pay respects to the cultural and spiritual beliefs of the Aboriginal peoples across the country and recognise that their connection to the land, the sky and the waterways that surround and connect us are still as strong, still as important, but also still as important to the living Aboriginal people today. I would like to finish off by saying Ngāchalia and Nakara. Ngāchalia means thank you in the Kaurna language, and Ngāchalia means we'll see you again when our paths meet. To all students, I would like to wish you all the best for the remainder of the year and for your future studies. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Cliffy, for offering us a welcome to country and also the acknowledgement of all the traditional owners on which our universities are located.
So welcome to all our new students. I hope you have an amazing first semester, and remember, have fun.
I'll now hand over to Professor Tanya Lehman, our Dean of Law, to introduce our guest speaker for the day and to kick everything off and to welcome you formally.
Thank you very much, Sam. Thank you very much, Sam. I want to begin. Nānari Tanya Lehman, Mani Nadlu Tampini, Nadlu Gani Atanga Tikanthi, Gani Atanga Imperenti, Gani Atanga Pampa Pampalirenti. And I'm grateful to Jack Buckskin for teaching me those phrases from Kaurna language. And that last phrase, Pampa Pampalirenti, Pampa Pampa means a conference and describes a gathering to share and exchange knowledge and ideas. And whether you are in the room today on beautiful Kaurna lands or whether you are joining us as a JD student online, I trust that today will be a gathering where you share and exchange knowledge and ideas, that you get to know each other, and that importantly you begin your journey in law today. So it's my great pleasure to welcome you here. I'm standing here feeling very proud this morning to have the responsibility to introduce our guest speaker. He is a former student of mine, a graduate of Flinders Law School, and I am enormously proud to watch the career trajectories of our students. I'm connected to many, many former graduates on LinkedIn, and I feel like a proud parent when I look back over my nearly 33, 34 years of teaching here at this institution to see the amazing things that our students have achieved. So it gives me great pleasure this morning to introduce to you Alex Edgar. Alex was born and raised in Swan Hill in northwest Victoria. After his gap year, he decided to study in Adelaide at the wonderful Flinders University campus at Bedford Park. This campus here in the city has only been open since February 2024, so there was no suggestion of studying in the city at that time. Living on campus at the Hall and Village for 4 years while studying law and international relations, Alex loved and still loves his experience at Flinders University. He made some lifelong friendships with those he studied, lived and worked with. After completing his studies, he spent 7 years in the Australian Public Service with the Department of Defence and the Department of Industry, Science, Energy and Resources. After the public sector, he moved into private practice with global law firm Ashurst and has since moved to Australian national firm Thompson Gear. Alex is a senior associate in Thompson's Chambers Band 1 ranked government team and specialises in all things government projects and commercial law. Where others passionately love disputes and appearances in courts, Alex enjoys the relationships and problem solving of transactions and big government projects. From construction contracts in Japan, selling billion-dollar risks into the London insurance market, drafting contracts for the build of ships and submarines, and to smaller grain storage facility construction contracts, Alex has been lucky to be able to chase a passion for his work. Alex maintains a relationship with Flinders University and he's extremely excited to speak to you all today, and I'm really looking forward to hearing from him. Please welcome Alex.
Right. Can I be heard?
Rob, can you give us a thumbs up on that? Yes, excellent.
Very good. If you are able, please stand up. I'm going to do that very tacky thing that people do sometimes at the beginning of something. Give your arms a little shake around, please. Give your leg a little kick about. Big breath in. And with the most force you can muster, push it all out again. All right, very good. That was more for me than it was for you. I just needed to embarrass you a little bit. I get a little bit of nerves when I public speak. Please take a seat. Good morning to you all. I too want to pay my respects to the Kaurna people as we meet on their land. In particular, I want to pay my respects to Uncle Lewis O'Brien, who is the Flinders resident elder. He's a great man, and he has spent a lifetime of almost 96 years teaching us about his culture and people. I also want to thank the law school, especially Professor Tanya Lehman and Associate Professors Sam Contra and Chris Wilson for having me here today. As I mentioned, my name's Alex and I'm a lawyer. I want to extend my congratulations to every single one of you here today and online on what I expect is your first day or week of law school. Let me tell you, it is an achievement to get to this point. Some of you will have gone the traditional path, straight out of school into law school. Others will have come as mature students. Some transfers from different courses and many, many other pathways. Either way, your hard work has paid off. You're here. You're here to begin another course of endeavour at what I might say is South Australia's oldest and most prestigious law school. That's the laugh line. Come on. I'm one of the lucky ones in law. My mum recently gave me the book that she kept of all my school records, and from year 2 onwards, I had always written that I wanted to be a lawyer. This is probably because my dad used to let me watch Law and Order well before I was of age to be watching any of those sorts of shows. I'm talking watching murder shows at 8. But I grew up on a farm. My father, grandfather and uncle were all mechanics, my mum a nurse, and everybody else farmers. It was not a given that I would go to university, let alone law school. I did once have a conversation with one of the 4 lawyers that lived in my town about going to law school. His only advice was that I should get really, really good at reading. If I'm honest with you all that did was make me really, really nervous and worry. After school, I took a gap year to work in a range of jobs, including working admin in a small business, waiting tables at a local restaurant, and as a kitchen hand at a bowls club in Brisbane. Again, all of this background did not scream law school. I started at Flinders in 2010 studying international relations and studies and moved into Flinders Housing. Flinders Housing, consisting of the hall and village, was a place where lots of fun, new people, new perspectives and deep and lasting friendships were formed. There I met the one person, my then housemate, who was the main person who inspired me to chase after my childhood dream of studying law. I then applied to and transferred into law in 2011. That housemate, who I lived with on the 16th of February 2010, is still my closest friend. I went on to a career in law and he went to the University of Oxford and into academia. You will meet him either this week or throughout your studies. My first days of law school are as fresh to me now as they were back then. As someone from a single-parent regional family who had to transfer into law, I experienced all of the nerves, all of the doubts that many of you will be feeling right now. The books were enormous, the lecturers were imposing, and I perceived every single one of my classmates, look around, the people in this room, as geniuses. The doubt that I felt could only be described as oppressive. I walked into the moot court down at Bedford Park, a place you will all become familiar with, for my first lectures and tutorials, and in front of me was someone that I thought and still think is incredibly formidable. I was lucky enough that she introduced me this morning. For my new in-law program, Tanya and Sam organised a now barrister in Sydney, Ben Goodyear, to speak. Luckily for us, Ben was dabbling in stand-up comedy at the time and was hilarious as well as insightful. I apologise to you all now. I understand the Fringe is imminent, but I haven't ventured into the world of stand-up just yet and won't be nearly as funny as Ben was. Also that week, I met my mentors for the week, senior students named Katrina and Alyssa, who helped us to get integrated into law school. I still think that those two women were some of the best legal minds that I've ever met. One a barrister and another senior legal counsel in-house in a corporation in South Australia. I recently got the opportunity at a wedding to tell them both that I thought that. One of the features of law school that still stands out and still confuses me to no end was being asked the question, I haven't heard it yet this morning, where did you go to school? The looks of confusion on my classmates who were from all storied Adelaide establishments, I told them I went to MacKillop and then laughed. I then had to explain that MacKillop was the local school in Swan Hill and not the all-girls school in Norwood. They quickly then figured out that I was Victorian. I didn't really understand the South Australia-Victorian rivalry until one of my lecturers stood up in a tutorial after finding out that I was Victorian and said, "Oh, one of them." The first 6 months of law school are hard, genuinely difficult. Learning a new language that's called legalese, getting your head around judgments and cases, and just trying to retain and recall all of the information that is going to be coming your way. You know what? That's okay. Give yourself some grace. Be kind to yourself. In 6 months' time, reading cases will become easier, writing assignments will become second nature, the issue, rule, application, conclusion, IRAC rule will be burned into all of your brains, and you'll be capable of speaking legalese. At the very least, you'll be conversational. Most importantly, you'll have figured out that law school is a way of thinking, a process for analysing how the world works and how the rules are made and enforced. It's not a thing that you get and move on from. In my first year, my new in-law mentors, my housemate and I attended, and it turns out Tanya as well, attended an advocacy conference at the university, the former artist known as the University of Adelaide, where Julian Burnside KC, Australian High Court Justice Michael Kirby, and US Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia spoke. It was an amazing day where I learned far more than just about advocacy. At the end of the day, after everyone had spoke, there was supposed to be a forum. It was then speculated, because he didn't show up, that Justice Scalia didn't want to share the stage with Justice Kirby because Justice Kirby was and is gay. That day, I learned that kindness and acceptance of people was likely a key part of my value set. I disagreed with his inability to share the stage. It was good, however, to listen to Justice Kirby and Julian Burnside speak without the interruption of an American. Scalia did offer one piece of advice that I'll touch on later that I still find valuable though. As I pushed through law school, I studied the mandatory topics, the priestly 11, but my electives were all focused on international humanitarian law, human rights, and all of those sorts of topics. Like my heroes on Law and Order all of those years ago, I was there to lock up the bad guys. I loved the linkage in studying those topics between my international relations and law degrees. However, while studying, I needed to work. Like I said, I don't necessarily come from money, and I needed to pay the bills. So while studying, I delivered rainwater tanks on the back of a Land Cruiser, I poured beer in pubs, I tutored younger first-year students, and worked in the library where I met my now wife and mother of my children. I went on throughout my studies to be offered an honours degree in international relations and wrote my honours thesis on the security, international legal and economic aspects of Indonesian foreign policy as an archipelagic state in its approach to Chinese claims in the South China Sea. I also went on a study exchange to the Netherlands, where I visited The Hague and European Union and was immersed in the main theatres of human rights and international criminal law. Luckily, I also got to visit the University of Oxford in the UK to see my friend while he was studying his DPhil, what Oxford call a PhD. Throughout my honours year, I was told by a learned colleague in the careers department at Flinders to start applying for grad jobs to get some practice. By this time, I had changed my mind and I was convinced that I was never going to practice law. I was going into public service. I applied for a single job at the Department of Defence. I thought that I would practice the application and interview processes with a view to applying for jobs the following year. I did an interview and unfortunately was offered a job starting in 3 months' time in Canberra. This was not an easy conversation to have with my honours supervisor, given that I was 3/4 of the way through an honours thesis, nor my very, 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 very soon-to-be wife. In August through November of 2015, I was working full-time in Canberra and coming home to write an honours thesis. In the October of 2015, I got married, so there was a little bit of planning there too. I stayed with Defence working on projects that required my legal knowledge to establish, analyse and manage major contracts, all the while working in a space that was globally focused. I worked on ships, submarines, aircraft, radars and travelled Australia and the world. It was rewarding work that I enjoyed. However, after a few years I did feel an urge that practising the law was what I actually wanted to do. I then moved to the Department of Industry, Science, Energy and Resources as a senior legal counsel. In that role, I was first exposed to a major dispute. I was instructing the then Queen's Counsels, or QCs, who we now call KCs upon the death of the Queen, on an administrative law dispute. Not personally my favourite topic, but one of my colleagues' specialties. I was, however, confronted with feeling that I was morally on the wrong side of that dispute. The law challenged me in that role because I had to be objective and had to execute the wishes of the government of the day. Luckily for me, I only worked in that role briefly as I was offered a role and started working in Ashurst. Ashurst is one of Australia's biggest and most prestige law firms. It's hard work and lots is expected of you. As Shakespeare might have said, they take their pound of flesh. It's one of the big law firms, as in big law in inverted commas. However, it's also really rewarding and can be a dignified career for those who choose it. After 3 years at Ashurst, I joined my now employer, Thomson Geer, where I work in a fantastic team. I'm often challenged and I enjoy working on major contracts to build new projects. Law firm work, although difficult and can have lots of pressure, can be equally rewarding. You'll meet smart people and they'll take you to new areas of law and new places around Australia and the world. I didn't expect to be delivering industry briefs in Perth, Albury or Cairns, but I have. I never expected to sell billion-dollar insurance risks into the London and continental European insurance markets for ship builders and ship repairers' liability insurances, but I have. I never thought I'd stand underneath a 50,000-tonne ship in dry dock, nor aboard a military submarine, but I have. Working in a law firm has taken me to some really fun and rewarding places, and I've really, really enjoyed it. But the most rewarding thing that I've had the honour to do has been my pro bono practice. I've delivered training to the Vanuatu government on best practice contracting for government. I've been able to assist an ailing and sick man to sort out his will and estate. I've been able to establish an internship with partnership with Tanya for lawyers from a culturally diverse and different backgrounds, where we hired someone from a non-traditional pathway into the law, and she's now thriving in that position and was recently promoted. There are many, many opportunities to do free and discounted work for people who need it in law firms. I do distinctly recall at uni that the housemate that I mentioned before, and I won't mention his name because he is one of your teachers, we were speaking about one of our classmates who had said that they wanted to work in corporate and commercial law in a big law firm. We discussed at the time how soulless and foul of an idea that was. We had disgust on our faces because it wasn't human rights law. Now at 35, I need to eat the words of 22-year-old Alex, because as I reflect, I know that big law and corporate law was right for me at the right time. However, it is absolutely not right for everyone. Some people want to do different things, and that is wonderful. Things are also changing. The way of operating as firms are being changed by advancements in technology. There are now tools and methods and expectations of completing work quicker, of having greater productivity for our clients. Flinders, led by Tanya, has for more than a decade been on the cutting edge of the advancements in technology and law. So you, as the newest students, will take the advantage and be adept in working in that environment. As a little turn now, I want you to do one thing for me. I want you to ask yourself a question, preferably in your head. How do I cope with failure? You're going to fail at something. I recall in second year, I wrote a letter of advice and I failed that assignment when I expected to get a HD. It devastated me. I have seen an Oxford graduate write a 12-page paper and it came back with red pen, crossing out whole pages with a single word, irrelevant, marked on the page. I don't think we mark that harshly anymore. But you need to ask yourself early, how am I going to cope with failure? You will likely fail an assignment or a topic, or you'll receive some pretty harsh feedback, just as I did and my friends did at some point. Failure is not inherently or in and of itself bad. Failure is likely a good opportunity to learn for next time. I often have to remind myself, even as a senior associate in a national law firm, that it's good to be comfortable being uncomfortable. A law degree, moving on from failure, is fascinating. I had no idea I would end up here. Equally, Tanya just said to me, speaking before now, she had no idea she would end up as the Dean of Flinders Law. Other than a senior associate at Thomson Geer or the Dean of Flinders Law, I've got some friends who have worked in various different roles, including many corporate lawyers, many barristers, counsel assisting in royal commissions, policy advisors in all levels of state, territory, local and federal government, criminal defence in Port Augusta, academia at law firms across the UK, Middle East, US and Canada. I've got a friend helping to run a major infrastructure company, many political advisors, and others who graduated and chose not to practice law and are very successfully working in retail. There is no end of opportunities the next few years will open up for you. As you go through law school, you'll be sent opportunities and things that you don't expect right now, on this day. It's worth exploring those things. I've tried to set out some of my history for you because, frankly, I didn't have the background that people expect to go to law school and to become a lawyer. I've been able to see and grasp so many opportunities through trying to have a good attitude and willingness to say yes to try something new. Please note, I said trying to have a good attitude and trying to have a willingness to say yes. It's not always successful. Much like my new in law intake, I'm going to set out some ideas for you that I think have served me well throughout my law school years. The first one is ask the damn question. I speak to grads every day worried that they've asked a silly question. I can tell you right now, they're not silly questions. People already in the profession, like me, want you, every single one of you, I'm not leaving anyone out, we want you to succeed. So ask the question, have the theory or the concept explained to you, and one day you'll be able to pass on that information to someone beginning in the law as well. The next is read. US Supreme Court Justice Scalia provided us advice to read. He said that he read briefs every day where he knew that the lawyers were caught in the trap of reading and writing like lawyers. You should try and read other things too. My personal suggestion, Irish novelist and novella writer Claire Keegan and British trash novelist Jeffrey Archer. But do read. It will shape how you read and write throughout your career. The next is to write down your mistakes. You'll never make them again. This is advice from the 2011 intake of New in Law from Ben Goodyear, and it's good, enduring advice. When you write down your mistakes, you'll remember them and fix them. The next is to water the tree that you want to grow. The tree that you want to grow is the one that receives the attention and the water. For each of you, that will need to be the willingness to try when you're uncomfortable, and not the tree of doubt. Each time doubt appears in your mind, sometimes you will actually have to say to yourself out loud, I'm not going to doubt myself today. I'm going to work hard and see where I end up. I still, after almost 10 years of practice, have pangs of doubt. But I know that working hard and trying my best will beat that doubt, even when I look like I'm going to fail. My next idea is to find some people who share your interests and your values. You'll find later, probably after you graduate, that you've carried one another through. The next one is simple. Go on the exchange. Trust me, go on the exchange. Say yes when someone asks you if you should have a crack at something. Even where your instinct is to say no, try your best to say yes. Penultimately, a journal never hurt anyone. It's really fun to read back on what you were thinking on a different time and place, particularly when you're my age. Finally, and most importantly, and I truly mean this, if you take nothing else away from today, look after you. Get out for some exercise, try and eat some good foods, and look after your body. As we know, it is well established the number one danger to lawyers is the strain the career can have on our physical and mental health. Seek help where it is needed. Do what you need to do to look after yourself. And let others do the same. We're in law school, right? We're all pretty independent leaders. We often don't ask for help. If you need it, seek it. As you begin this week and your degree, you're not going to enjoy every day, but you'll enjoy a lot. You'll be challenged, but not beyond your means. You'll be uncomfortable, but calm seas never made good sailors. You'll be intimidated by the lecturers and the tutors, but it turns out they are both human and your biggest cheerleaders. You'll make friends, fall in and out of love, and have bags of fun. Good luck. Break a leg. Chukas. Buona fortuna. I wish you all the very best. Welcome to South Australia's oldest law school, and I look forward to the LinkedIn post in a couple of years upon your admission to welcome you to the profession. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Alex, for that wonderful address. We do have a little bit of time if anyone has a question that they would like to ask Alex, and if you are online, I think for these purposes, if you could put that in the chat, that would be helpful, and I'll make sure that we've got the chat. But if anyone in the room first has a question that they would like to ask Alex. And just wait for the microphone so the people online can hear, please.
You're the backup.
What do you enjoy so much about commercial law?
What do I enjoy so much about commercial law? I like the puzzle. I was thinking about this on the way here. I like the puzzle. What a client will do is they'll tell you, I want to end up there. I want this thing. I want to do something like that. And you have to build the puzzle from where they are to where they're going to. So while, people of my generation and lots of people during COVID watch Suits, and everyone's like, oh, you just get up and you just talk a bit. It's like, no, you've got to assemble the puzzle before that. So I really enjoy assembling the puzzle for the client, talking them through it, working it all out, and then writing it all down. So contract drafting sounds boring, sometimes is, but sometimes it's also really fun because you've got to set out a commercial arrangement in the way that helps a client achieve their outcomes. Be it building a house, building an aeroplane hangar, or all sorts of different things.
Another question in the room, and then I'll go online.
If you had your time again as a law student, what's one thing you'd do differently?
That's a good question. So if I had my time as a law student, what would I do differently? I would attend more classes, and I'd treat the course like a 9 to 5 job. So what some people will do is they'll look at their timetable and go, I'll go to uni between 9 and 11:30 because that's when I've got lectures and tutorials, and then I'll go home. I'd rock up to the library at 8:30 or 9, whichever is your preference, and I'd leave at 4:30 to 5. And in between that time, you'll have read the documents that you needed to read to get to the lecture, you'll have read the readings to get to the tutorial, and you'll have gone, well, I'm here, I may as well start that assignment or write an outline or something like that. You're only going to be here for a few years. And once you're gone, it's over. And you'll look back and go, oh, golly, that was quick. So I think don't leave anything on the field. Try and get there and give it your best and attend a few more things. Yes, even when you're hungover. Are there any questions online?
We've got a comment online that Flinders campus is beautiful and campus life is what I miss most now that I'm not physically at uni. But there's lots of ways for our JD students to connect and engage with each other. Here's another question. In your opinion, what is the weight of your transcript and GPA for employment in big law?
Yeah, look, that's an interesting question. I know a friend of mine gave this speech a couple of years ago, and his note was that grades are important, but they're not everything. If your resume just says a 7.0 GPA and nothing behind it, I think you'll probably be discounted a little bit. So work hard, get the best grades you can, look after yourself, but also join the society, take on the part-time job, do all of the other things as well. What the law firms are looking at when they interview you is, yes, is this a capable person who has the ability to participate as a lawyer in my law firm? And is this a person I want to work with? At interview, you get so caught up in, am I going to be the right lawyer? If you just don't get on with the people interviewing you, it will be really, really difficult. Particularly as someone who interviews young lawyers for jobs. We want to know that we can work with you every day, that we can go to the market and get a coffee, that we can trust you with a task. So that would be my advice.
Now, I know that there are other questions, but our time has come to an end. So can you please join me in thanking Alex once again for his insights? And a very small token of our gratitude to Alex. We have a 5-minute break now, so those online can grab a coffee or get themselves a cup of tea. Those in the room, if you need to use the bathrooms, it's out towards that side of the building and then turn right and you will see the bathrooms there. But can we reconvene in this room in 5 minutes, please?
Thank you.
Hello again, everyone. It's wonderful to hear all of the conversations in the room and to see the comments online. I really encourage you to challenge yourself today, if you are in the room, to make sure that you have met at least 5 new people by the end of today and that you know their names. And if you're online, that you're taking every opportunity to interact, comment, and meet your online peers. So it's my pleasure now just to talk to you briefly about studying law at Flinders. And I want to say again a really, really big welcome to you. Every one of you, those of you in the room, those of you online, this is your first day of your legal career and you deserve to be here. You belong. You're part of our community and you deserve to be here. You have come through many, many different pathways and you deserve to be here. So it's really important that you know that from day one, you belong and we are delighted to have you here. So you are a part of our first year cohort, whether you're here in the room in the city campus. You are also a part of our cohort that studies at Bedford Park, and you are a part of our online commencing JD cohort. And a specific shout out to our JD students because this is our 10th year of delivering our JD entirely online. So you're part of our commencing cohort. You're also part of our broader Flinders Law School cohort. We've got students who are in our bachelor's degrees. We've got students in our bachelor honours degree. We've got students in our JD degree. We've got students who might be in our graduate certificate degree, students in our graduate diploma degree, students in our diploma degree, and we might have extension studies students in the room with us as well. So whatever program you're enrolled in, you are part of a bigger Flinders Law School community. We have about 700 students all up. That makes us one of the smaller law schools in this country. But it does mean that we really get to know each other. The staff get to know students and you get to know your colleagues. And as you've already heard from Alex this morning, the people that you meet right at the beginning of your law studies can be lifelong friends and also can be great supports as you progress throughout your careers. You are also part of the bigger, broader Flinders University community. And it's really exciting times for Flinders at the moment. Flinders is growing in our size, in our new campus here in the city, really developing our online campus as well. We are growing up university rankings internationally across a whole lot of measures in a phenomenal way, really punching well above our weight as one of the smaller South Australian universities, really matching it with the big heavy hitters on the national and world stage. We have amazing research achievements and we are really starting to have world impact, ranked in the top 10 in the world on a number of measures, including sustainability and gender equity. Flinders Law School will be turning 35 next year. When Flinders Law School commenced, it was it had a focus on how can we bring critical thinking to the study of the law and how can we really have a focus on practice-based skills. And that was quite revolutionary in the early 1990s when the law school commenced because there were much fewer law schools in the country and there was a very traditional approach to legal education. Right from its inception, Flinders has taken a very different view of the world. A real focus on equipping you practically, as well as, of course, with all of the rigorous academic knowledge that you need to know. I've been teaching at Flinders for a long, long time now, since 1994. And I am so proud to see that over that nearly 35 years now, we have alumni who are growing into really senior positions in the legal sector. Senior partners, managing partners of law firms, of major law firms, members of the judiciary, senior counsel, King's Counsel, politicians, in international positions all over the world, and some of those very senior. One of our alumni heads up the Human Rights Department of international shipping company Maersk from Copenhagen. Another of our alumni heads up one of the country desks for the International Red Cross in Africa. We also have alumni who are film directors, who are successful reality TV contestants, and you name it. So the world is your oyster, and there are multiple pathways ahead of you as you start through your law degree. A little bit about studying law. So if you want to become admitted as a legal practitioner here in Australia, you need to do a law degree that has been accredited by admitting authorities. And Flinders is one of those. And the admitting authority here in South Australia is the Legal Practitioners Education and Admission Council. And that South Australian accreditation means for our JD students who are studying all around the country that it is accepted in other jurisdictions as well. As part of that accreditation, every accredited law school is required to teach the academic areas of knowledge that are prescribed for admission. And these are often called the Priestley 11 areas, after Justice Priestley, who headed up the committee that formed these back in the early 1990s. And I'll see if I can remember all of these 11. Tort law, contract law, criminal law, real property, equity and trusts, corporate law, constitutional law, administrative law, evidence, civil procedure, and ethics and professional responsibility. So we teach all of those prescribed areas in both our undergraduate and postgraduate legal programs. We also have a number of distinctives, and I'm going to leave the JD distinctives to Rob to discuss with the JD's students a little bit later, but we are very proud that our JD was the first accredited online Juris Doctor degree in Australia. In our undergraduate program, we have some key distinctives, and we think they are really important for you to ensure that your qualifications, your knowledge, your skills equip you for a very rapidly changing environment. So as an undergraduate student, some really important topics that you'll be undertaking are legal innovation. This is a focus on human-centred design and thinking very differently about the law. And that is a skill that you are really going to need to navigate the period of rapid change that we're in at the moment. We also have a key Flinders distinctive called the digital lawyer. Building those digital skills that you heard Alex talk about there, and how so much of what lawyers do now is changing so rapidly. And we are in a time now where things are changing almost daily when we think of the new tools that are becoming available and the vast amounts of money that are put into market capitalisation now of some of the legal technology companies and platforms that are supporting law students. So we are very proud of the way that we are skilling you up to navigate that space with skills that give you a practical advantage when you hit the employment market. I spend a lot of my time out in industry, and that is the feedback that I get so regularly from members of the profession and practitioners and employers, that our graduates really stand out by their level of skill, that they can hit the ground running, and their critical and strategic thinking. We also have a really strong and unique collaboration with practical legal training provider Leo Cusson Centre for Law, and I'm going to be introducing the head of Leo Cusson in South Australia, Bianca Patterson, to you shortly. If you want to become admitted as a legal practitioner, you not only have to do the the academic areas of knowledge that are required, but you also have to complete all of the practical requirements for admission. And there are many of these, and if you want to read them, they are all laid out in appendices B and D of the LEPIAC rules made under the Legal Practitioners Act of South Australia 1981. There are lots and lots of them. We are the only university that collaborates in this way with a practical legal training provider in the country. We are very proud of this really close relationship that we have. And what it means is that we are working with Leo Cusson to understand the sort of practical legal skills that they will be teaching you. They understand the skills that we are teaching you, and it really supports our students to be very successful. So that's something further down the track, and Bianca's going to talk to you about that in a few minutes. I want to finish my remarks now in a way that I have not previously done when I've spoken at New In Law, but I think it's increasingly important. I stand here in 2026 with an acute awareness that there is more pressure now on the rule of law when we look around what's happening in the world than there ever has been that I've been aware of in my time as a lawyer. I attended a large event for the legal profession here in South Australia just a couple of weeks ago. And for the first time ever at an event like that, we had the President of the Bar Association, the President of the Law Society, and senior members of the judiciary all explicitly calling out the importance of the rule of law and the importance of the role of lawyers in supporting and sustaining the rule of law in our communities, in our societies, and more broadly. Now, what do I mean by the rule of law? I mean that everybody is treated equally under the law, that the law applies to everyone, that it doesn't matter whether you are here or here, the law will apply to you. And I want to start on this first day of your legal career in doing my best to encourage you to think really carefully about your role as future legal professionals. What is it going to mean for you to ensure that your skill and your legal knowledge can be used to speak out to make sure that the law does apply equally to all, to make sure that you can provide a voice for the vulnerable and for the people who have no one else to advocate for them, and for you to take a stance and think, I will act ethically according to my professional obligations. These questions now are more urgent than they have ever been for lawyers in my long career. And my impression is that they are becoming more urgent. So these are urgent questions for you to consider. And lawyers, and as law students, you are emerging legal professionals, you have all got a role to play in ensuring the strong continuance of the rule of law in our society. Thank you very much. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce to you Bianca Patterson.
Thanks, Tanya. Thank you, Tanya. And I'd like to echo everything that she said in that introduction. I'm going to try and stand right here for this little introduction to PLT. That's difficult for me. I tend to wander. And last year when I did this talk, I ended up with nobody being able to see online my head, so I'll try and make sure I stand right here. So welcome to all of you. I was just standing there listening to Tanya and looking around the room and just reflecting back when I was a first year law student on my first day. And I imagine that you're all feeling a mix of emotions, excitement perhaps you're all terrified. I was. But it's a really exciting time to start your law degree right now. There are lots of challenges, as Tanya has pointed out, but it's also a very exciting time and it's a really wonderful profession to be a part of. So I'm really pleased that you're all here. So I'm here to talk about practical legal training, which, as Tanya said, if you want to be admitted to practice, you do need to do at the end of your law degree. So some of you may have come into this room not realising that, and I want to make sure that everybody's aware of what's required. I don't want to overwhelm you today because there's nothing that you need to do today to start this process, but I just want to make sure that everybody understands what they're going to have to do at the end of their degree and has it in the back of their mind. And then when you're ready to talk about it, I'll be here and staff at Flinders will also be here to have a chat to you about, what it actually means for you. So I'm just going to give you a little basic overview today so that you know what's coming. Some of you may actually have received an offer, depending on which course you're doing, to do your graduate diploma in legal practice at the end of your degree. And if you have, then this is what it's about. All right, so the steps to admission are, as Tanya pointed out, you need to have your undergraduate law degree or your postgraduate law degree accredited, which at Flinders it is, and then you need a practical legal training course, which leads to a graduate diploma in legal practice, accredited, which Leo Cusson is. And for JD students, we are accredited Australia-wide, and we also have courses Australia-wide, so that wherever you are in the country, you can do your practical legal training with Leo Cusson. Okay, so here's the steps. You start with a university law degree, which is what you're doing now. Then you do your PLT, and then once you finish that, you apply for admission to the Supreme Court of South Australia or whatever jurisdiction you're in to be allowed to practice. And then once you sign the roll, which is one of the most exciting things you'll ever do in your career, I think, very quick thing but very exciting, then you make an application for a practicing certificate. And once you have that, then you can practice law. So a few steps, but you'll see as you go, it's not as overwhelming as it sounds. Okay, so when do you start your PLT? You start generally at the end of your law degree. So when you finished your law degree, you then can start your practical legal training. You can start in some cases a bit earlier while you've still got some subjects to go, but there are rules around that and you need to have permission. So you need to have completed all of your core Priestley 11 topics, and you can have up to 2 electives remaining with permission from Flinders, in your case, to commence early. So if you have that permission, then you can start your PLT a little bit earlier if you're in a bit of a rush to get it finished, and some people are. And this slide is just a bit of an overview about what's different about PLT with Leo Cusson. What I love about our unique partnership with Flinders is that we are always talking about what each other are doing and making sure that the PLT course that we do is just a smooth transition from what you've been doing at Flinders straight into your PLT, and it's a logical step. So the Flinders Law course is very practical. It's much more practical than some other law courses around the country. And that flows quite well into the idea of doing your practical legal training once you get there, because you already will have done and obtained a lot of practical skills. And we do find that Flinders students in particular are well ready for their PLT once they get there. So that's the beauty of doing a very practical course. We support you at every single step of the way through your PLT, and in fact after. You'll have a mentor to help you through the program from start to finish. We have practicing lawyers that will be mentoring you. I have a practicing certificate still, so they are people that know what it's like to practice and can give you that real world experience. Our course is run like a simulated law firm, so you'll be doing work that you actually might do in practice. And we have lots of other supports. So we have admission support, career support, international student support, all sorts of support networks that you can access while you're with us and beyond. Okay, so I don't want to focus too much on this because you don't really need to know this until you get there, but that is just an overview of the course itself. You'll go through different rotations, much like if you were in a large law firm and working your way through the different areas of legal practice. And you'll do client work as you would do in practice. And we do have some immersive workshops throughout the program where you will learn face-to-face intensive skills development. Things like client interviewing, advocacy, negotiation. They're all things that the regulator tells us we need to teach you, but they're also really important skills that you really actually need to go into practice. You also will need to do a professional placement during your PLT. There are certain rules around that. The placement you need to do is 15 days, 15 business days. That is the minimum that the regulator allows. And the reason why we are allowed to do that is because of the very practical nature of our course. And so the regulator recognises that you're doing real legal work with us anyway. That can't start until after you start your PLT though. So if you're working in a legal environment, that's great. You can use your work as part of your placement, but you can't count any of it until you've started your PLT program. You can do it at the same time as you're doing your PLT, or if you choose to and you know it's better for your time management, you can wait until the end of the PLT program and do it afterwards. So there's lots of ways you can do that. You can be working at a community legal centre, government in-house. It doesn't have to be a law firm as long as you are doing legal work, and there are rules around that, and we'll tell you whether or not what you're doing satisfies that. We can also help you organise your placement. So if you don't have anywhere that you know of, or you don't wish to go out and look for your own placement, we can source a placement for you, and we've got relationships with lots of law firms in South Australia where we can do that for you. There is a fee that applies to that, so just be aware of that. These are all our mentors around the country. They're all lawyers with practicing certificates, and so it'll be one of these people that will be helping you through your PLT program, and these are all over the country. So we have lots of support for everyone that does our PLT program. Ongoing career support, we help you write resumes, we have a jobs board, we have a specialist career section with staff that you can have a meeting with them for free and have a chat about resumes, careers, anything of that nature. And they can help you with your CV, with your interview preparation and all that sort of thing. We also have international student support, dedicated team that helps international students with visa issues and anything else that international students may specifically require. And best bit, we also provide admission support. So one of my most favourite jobs is to move the admission of my grads in the Supreme Court. You need a lawyer with a practicing certificate to do that. And they come along with you to the Supreme Court and effectively tell the Supreme Court that you are ready to practice. it's a very exciting part in your career and a very exciting thing for me to do. I'm very honoured when I'm asked to do this. And it's the point where you are ready to move into professional practice. So we have several modes. We've got online. You can do a fully online course if that suits you. Or in South Australia, you can do what we call the blended course, which simply means that it's mostly online, but your immersive skills development that I was talking about earlier is done face-to-face. Full-time 20 weeks or part-time 30 weeks. So that's what you need to be aware of when you get to the end of your degree. That's how long it's going to take you to finish it off so that you'll get ready for practice. Probably not relevant for you at this stage, but just to let you know how many intakes we have about 12 every year. So there's plenty of opportunity for you. Whenever you finish your law degree, we'll be ready to start your PLT course with you. These are our program fees for this year. By the time you get there, I have no idea what they'll be by the time you get there, but the point of this slide is to let you know that those are the fees. We don't have any hidden costs, and it's all, you can put it on your fee help. The fee that you're told when you get there is the fee that you pay, and that's that, aside from the placement fee that I mentioned earlier. When you're looking at PLT providers, look, it's you have a guaranteed entry into our course. But if you are looking around, perhaps you're deciding to move interstate or you've got some other reason for looking around, what I want to get across is these are the things that you should ask a PLT provider if you're looking into your options. And so what you want is all of these things: small groups, career support, industry reputation, all of those things Leo Cusson has. Not suggesting we're the only ones that have it, but those are the questions that you should be asking if you're looking around at your options. But all of you will have guaranteed entry to our program, and those things is what you'll get from our program. Okay, there's a QR code there if you want to have a look at our website. You may not be ready to do that at this point, but when you are ready, contact me or the staff at Flinders and we will have a chat to you. I'm happy to talk to anybody in person that wants to have a chat about PLT generally. We can go have a coffee or have a Zoom meeting or whatever it is. I'm always happy to chat to anybody who's got questions about PLT. For you guys, when you're enrolling with us, the process is to go through Flinders enrolments. For the JD students, you can enrol directly with us. So it's a slightly different process, and it's just around our partnership with Flinders. So the virtual internships in the meantime, while you're waiting to be ready for PLT, I highly encourage you to have a look at these. They are like a mini online internship as if you were at a law firm. We have criminal law, family law and human rights law. And it's self-paced online, just a little mini internship course. And at the end, you can get a certificate and you can put it on your resume. So it's the first step for you to have something on your resume that relates to law. And it's a really great idea. Free for everybody. You don't need to be a student of ours to do it, but a really great opportunity to have, to even have a first look at a particular area of law that you might have been considering, for example, and have a look at what it's like to actually work in that area. I think that's it from me. It is. Any immediate questions? Excellent. Well, I look forward to meeting all of you in the future, and I really hope you enjoy the start of your law degree.
Thank you so much, Bianca. I'm just going to ask you all to stand up, have a 2-second shake and then sit down again, please. And sitting down again, please. Now it's my great delight to introduce Jake and Amna, and they will introduce themselves.
Thank you, Tana, and good morning, everyone. My name's Jake. I'm the president of the Flinders Law Students Association. We are the student association for Flinders Law. I'm currently a fourth year student doing my honours this year, and I'll let Amna introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Amna. I'm also doing my honours. I can't wait to finish, so rooting for the end bind.
We're not the only faces that you'll see around. We've got a variety of faces. This is just a few of us. So Christine, Chetan, Charlotte, Claudia are all sort of floating around throughout. So if you see any of us, come and say, sorry. If you see any of us, feel free to come and say hello to us. So we're running a whole bunch of events and competitions throughout the year.
Christine is not deceased. She's just in Jamestown doing a grad role, but she's around campus. If you see her, say hi.
So one of the questions we get is why we exist. So as a student-led representative body, we have a lot of networking events, competitions, just opportunities that is learning beyond the textbooks. Essentially, we connect with a lot of industry partners as well as some exposure to some real-life practice. And Amna can talk a little bit more to that.
We exist because we know that law school can be somewhat of an isolating experience at times, but it doesn't have to be. And our role here is to make sure that you feel welcomed and that you enjoy your years going through law schools, knowing that you've got a community you can rely on, and you get to see familiar faces around campus and just have that connection and not feel like you're alone doing all the things you might be doing, because it might feel scary because you guys are all in the same boat, and if you know each other, it makes the journey a lot easier. And through the association, you meet lots of students in their second to third years, and it's really good to get their perspective and input on how they found the general journey of doing law school.
One way to really get involved is through competitions. This is my favourite way to get involved, and I encourage all of you to sign up for competitions. Each semester we run a variety of these competitions, including client interview, negotiation, mooting and witness examination. Now, these are split between open competitions as well as first year specific competitions. I would encourage all of you to sign up for a first year competition because you're only going against other people with the same skill set of you, only in first year, and it's a good way to get involved and make new friends, find new people, as well as get some really good feedback from say lawyers or practitioners or barristers that we bring in, and everyone's here to help you. One question that we get is how these competitions will run. They run across 4 rounds. So a preliminary round where you can test your skills. This is usually judged by student judges who are more senior students, so they'll give you some advice. Quarterfinals, semi-finals, and then the grand final. We just sort of work your way through. And again, there's no pressure if you join the competition and you don't like it, you can pull out at any time. There's no pressure to stay in the competition. But again, it's a really good way to build your skills. So why these competitions matter, it makes you stand out. There's practical skills. You can grow confidence, professionalism. These competitions stand out on clerkship applications, as well as it's a good way, a networking opportunity. When people ask me about competitions, that was one of the main things that I talked about in my job interview and showed how those transferable skills came across. So it's something you can include in your cover letter and resume.
I think, again, with my job interview, it's really about being part of these competitions, giving your best show, because the practitioners come in to get to know you. They want to, hire people to see what the law students look like, and just being able to, present what you understand and learn is quite insightful for them. And, it might open up job prospects, especially because one of the lawyers I worked with literally said to me, it's not about what you know, Amna, it's about who you know. And those early connections and chances of networking is really important. And that's what we do in terms of the competitions as well as our networking events. And you'll hear more about the networking events in the coming slides. But it's really important. And I want to stress that competitions are quite different to how you would write a law assignment or assessments in general. The application of how you apply law in theory is quite different to how you apply it practically, and having that insight from actual real hand practitioners giving you the input goes a far way.
And we've got a sign-up form for some of our competitions. So an open client interview, and first year client interview, and those QR codes will come up on the screen shortly. Yeah, perfect. And these will be outside, so feel free to come and see us and that. FULSA hosts a variety of events to bring students together and build a welcoming community. These are inclusive and accessible events. They build your connections across year levels. Obviously, we're spread across Bedford Park and City campus, so it's a great way to get to know your entire cohort, as well as some more senior students as well. We're really trying to build a strong sense of cohort and community and making sure that everyone gets to know each other. We run a variety of events. We're running our mixer in the next few weeks. We'll have more on that in a second. Law ball, pub crawl, all sorts of different events. This is our first Welcome Back event. It's at the Strathmore. And yeah, if you use the code first year, we only have 30 discounted tickets, so that brings the ticket price down to $22. That's going to be a great event. That's happening in Friday in a few weeks' time, and we would love to see everyone there. And that'll be a good way to meet everyone in a more relaxed setting. Education. So we don't only run competitions, we also run some education type events, including a clerkship evening. So understanding what firms are looking for, how the process works, just asking sort of those questions. Now we've had a variety of firms come through and offer their time to talk to students just like you guys to go through what they want to see on your applications, as well as it puts a face to a name. A lot of the students that come to the clerkship evening will then interact with the lawyers or practitioners or even their HR specialists directly, and then your name will stand out on their list when it comes through. And we've had a lot of students come through and say that these sorts of events were very, very helpful to them, as well as like resume writing, all sorts of different events to set yourself up early. Everything that we talked about is condensed into our 2026 first year survival guide. So Umna has spent a lot of time combining sort of everything that we talk about into a nice little 12-page guide with some dot points. So I would encourage everyone to get a copy of that. We'll have some printed copies if you're after a printed copy. But yeah, this goes through a whole bunch of things about how to reference, where to find the AGLC, your textbook readings, where to access them, just all sorts of little things that you might not want to ask for help about, but it's all in there.
I think it's a good starting point for what I felt like I needed coming into law school, and I just tried to make it as concise as possible, because I don't like a lot of words, but I hope it's helpful.
We've also got a FULSA careers guide. Now we've got a new 2026 one coming out later this year, closer to clerkship applications. But currently we've got the 2025 guide, which is worthwhile to have a look at. It's got a whole bunch of clerkship, graduate roles, some alternative legal careers in there, a whole bunch of interviews from past Flinders students as well as just where to sort of find these clerkship opportunities, where to find, say, government roles, things like that. And we've got some physical copies outside if you come and see us, but we've also got the QR code there. Merchandise. We also sell a variety of merchandise. Keep an eye out for 2026 merch portal. We haven't finalised that yet. We're just looking at some new designs, but we've still got these current designs if people were interested in purchasing merchandise. We've also got some FULSA water bottles outside as well. Perfect. We're also on the lookout for some first-year representatives, so we're looking for one from Bedford Park and one from Festival Plaza. Really what a first-year representative does is it's like a student voice on the committee to know what the issues are on the ground, essentially. As a first year, you're the person who knows what first years want, what first years are looking for. Are our events being too tailored to senior students? Are our competitions maybe going to be too hard for first year students? That's sort of a good role to be a part of and be an advocate for your.
It's also a good resume filler because people who are going to hire you can see that you're part of a committee, you do things, you work on projects, and it's really good to develop your skills and soft skills, especially when it comes to going into practice.
We also encourage you to become a member. We've got what this gives you is some email blasts that we've got coming in the next few weeks and this semester, just with some sort of what we do, some exclusive deals.
Some firms that might be reaching out about potential opportunities, worthwhile.
Yeah, just if you sign up, we'll send everyone an email with that. If you want to come talk to us in a more informal setting, we're having some coffee catch-ups. If you want to meet some people on the FULSA committee as well as some other students, the one in the city is happening on Thursday, the 5th of March from 9 to 10 a.m. We'll be hovering around. So if you want to have a chat in a more informal setting, otherwise feel free to come speak to us throughout the day today. We'll be around.
We'll be just up there.
Outside.
So come say hi if you want. No pressure.
We'll also follow us on the socials, Instagram and Facebook. That's where you'll find a lot of the more competition things that we're running and things like that. LinkedIn will be more for the reposting of, say, clerkship opportunities and sort of those sorts of various other professional development building things. But the Instagram and Facebook will have all your sort of competitions, education events, all the things that we run as well. And if you have any issues, feel free to send us an email or contact one of us.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Excellent, fantastic. Thanks, guys. Hi, everyone. I'm back. I have been here. I've just been in our other room where we've, shout out to the people in the other room that are watching the live stream. So some of those practical skills that you've heard about include something called mooting. So this is mock court. The demonstration we're going to give you is an appeal case. So someone who's already had a determination and they've appealed it. You just have to bear with us a couple of seconds while we set everything up. So we have our judge who you've met before and our mooters. So just give me a couple of seconds and we'll get everything organised for you.
I'm the appellant.
What's your name?
Anderson. Surname Butcher. We'll do that.
Sorry?
Butcher.
Mr. Butcher.
Butcher. Yeah. 100%.
And my respondent?
Huggard.
Hubbard.
Huggard. Huggard.
You really don't have to say anything till like the last page. Like literally. This is all my, yep.
I think I have like 2 lines.
You've got like 2 paragraphs.
No, what do you want me to
Just over here. So I think if you stand just here, that would be perfect.
We'll be right.
I might steal it first and then I'll hand it over to you. Alrighty, so we are now all ready for you. As you can see, this isn't quite a normal courtroom setup, but we want to make sure that everyone online in the other room and in this room can all hear us. So today we have Bianca, who's playing the role of our judge for this case, and we have 2 of our mentors, and you'll hear all about mentors and mentoring a little bit later on, who are going to play the role of the lawyers in this case. Now, I will warn you that we have scripted this today because there are lots of people here and it gets a little bit nerve-wracking, so they are working from a script today. You'll find that as you gain more and more confidence with mooting, you don't need to work from a script, and indeed we help train you not to work from a script. Mooting is something, you'll get a bit of a taste of this a little bit later on today for those that are in the room. Those that are online and in the room, FULSA, as you've heard, run various mooting competitions. So you'll actually get a little bit of a taste to do that if you wish to. And when you do your topic in torts, which is taught by me and also by Tanya, who you saw earlier, you'll actually do an assessed moot. So where that fits in your degree program is a little bit different for undergrad and JD students, but you'll learn much more about that sort of as today progresses. So I think these two are actually doing towards this year. So they'll have an assessed moot coming up. This is their practice run. Here we go. The other thing to flag is that when you hear from FULSA that they are running a moot, it's a really great opportunity just to see what it's like before you have to do this as part of your assessment. While the FULSA moots are not assessed, you still get to meet fantastic judges, you get to meet other students, but you also get to practice these skills in an environment where you don't have marks associated with it. So it's a really nice chance to get some of that feedback from judges, from us really, and various other law staff and practitioners to really help you get used to it. But enough from me about that. We might jump in. I'll just call the case if I can borrow someone's script. I won't make you all stand up. We did this the other day, but there are just too many people, so we won't do that. All right. The session of the Supreme Court of South Australia is now in session. The case of Bluebell and Brady.
I'll take appearances.
If it pleases the court, my name is Butcher and I appear on behalf of the appellant, Miss Penny Bluebell.
Thank you, Mr. Butcher.
If it pleases the court, my name is Haggard and I appear on behalf of the respondent, Mr. Danny Brady.
Thank you, Ms. Haggard. Mr. Butcher, I'm ready for submissions.
Would Your Honour appreciate a brief summary of the facts?
Yes, thank you.
Miss Bluebell, a then 18-year-old law student, attended the Royal Adelaide Show in September 2022. A new ride was being debuted called the Water Thrills Adventure. This was similar to a Splash Mountain type of ride seen at some of the big water parks in Australia and globally. Patrons are strapped into a life raft and proceed up a small roller coaster with water flowing under them, and are then plunged down the other side of the water roller coaster, where they are then splashed with water. The design of the ride means that the patrons are not meant to be immersed in the water, but are just meant to be lightly splashed. Miss Bluebell has an allergy to chlorine. She suffers only of a minimal reaction, if anything. But if she's splashed with chlorinated water, she suffers immense pain, and when she's immersed in chlorine. Before going on the ride, she went up and asked the attendant, Danny Brady, about how much chlorine was in the ride. He pulled out the safety manual and looked through it quickly, and was able to tell her that most of the chlorine used to clean the ride was flushed out during what is called the safety flush, which is when water is pumped through in the 30 minutes before the ride is open for the day. On the 4th of September 2022, Danny was the attendant in charge of the Water Thrills Adventure Ride. The show had opened on the 3rd of September, and at the end of the day, the then attendant, Michael, had sent Mr. Brady a text saying the ride was playing up and asking him if he could check it the next morning when doing the safety flush. Mr. Brady had been out with friends and completely missed the text. The next morning, Mr. Brady turned on the ride and noticed some strange noises. He quickly got a mechanic over who performed some quick maintenance and a safety check. While this was happening, Miss Bluebell approached Mr. Brady and asked for clarification about the chlorine levels of the ride. Satisfied with his response, she had left with her friends. Mr. Brady was called over by the mechanic and became absorbed in what was being said. In brief, the ride was cleared to start and began operation around 10 a.m. Due to the mechanical difficulties, Mr. Brady completely forgot to run the safety flush. At around 11:30 a.m., Miss Bluebell and her friends returned to the Water Thrills Adventure Ride. They enjoyed the ride until they started plummeting down the downhill ramp of the roller coaster. At this point, water started splashing them, and because the chlorine had not been removed, Miss Bluebell started having an allergic reaction and screaming from pain. The pain caused her to undo her seatbelt prematurely to get out of the raft, which then tipped into the chlorine-filled water. She remained in the water for at least 2 to 3 minutes while she tried to madly swim toward the edge of the pool. During this time, her chlorine allergy activated, and she was in agony and had to be rushed to hospital for treatment. She had such a bad reaction that she had to miss several weeks of work and study. Miss Bluebell brought this action in the District Court of South Australia, and whilst it was accepted that Mr. Brady did owe a duty of care to Miss Bluebell, as a reasonable ride attendant, the court found that Mr. Brady had not breached his duty of care. Miss Bluebell appeals on the ground that Mr. Brady did breach his duty of care to her because her injuries were foreseeable to him. If it pleases the court, I will move to submission 1.1.
Yes, thank you.
Your Honour, Section 32 of the Civil Liability Act 1932 sets out the requirements for a breach of duty of care under negligence. If it pleases the court, may I dispense with full citations?
Of course.
Section 32, subsection 1A, sets out the first requirement for the test of breach, that the risk was foreseeable. That is, it is a risk of which the person knew or ought to have known. In this case, Mr. Brady had read the instruction manual which indicated that there was chlorine in the ride. He had spoken to Miss Bluebell and knew that she was asking questions about chlorine levels and assured her that the majority of chlorine is flushed from the ride before patrons are allowed to enter. Not only this, but Mr. Brady had allowed himself to get distracted and had not run the safety flush, therefore omitting to flush the excess chlorine from the ride. Your Honour, it is clear in case law that only the general kind or type of events should be foreseen, not the exact events.
Can you please tell me which case states that?
Of course, Your Honour. It is the case cited in my submission 1.2, the case of Chapman v Hearst, a High Court case from 1958 regarding dangerous driving, in which the court found that a reasonable person does not have to foresee the exact events that were foreseeable resulting from a risk of harm. Does that answer Your Honour's question?
Yes, please continue.
In the case before us today, Mr. Brady had all relevant knowledge regarding the ride. Having been trained as an attendant with full access to the relevant manual and to safety inspectors and mechanics on site. He also had spoken with Miss Bluebell directly and knew she was asking questions about the chlorine. In conclusion, Mr. Brady, a reasonably trained ride attendant, could not only foresee that, if he failed to run the safety flush prior to letting patrons on the ride, that there would be a build-up of chlorine that could cause patrons to become irritated by the chlorine. It is common knowledge that chlorine can cause skin and eye irritation, even if Miss Bluebell had a stronger reaction. It is the appellant's submission that Mr. Brady knew or ought reasonably to have known that failure to run a safety flush could cause an increase in chlorine and therefore cause harm to patrons. If Your Honour has no further questions, this concludes the submissions for the appellant.
Thank you, Mr. Butcher. Ms. Huggard, I'm ready for your submissions.
Thank you, Your Honour. If it pleases the court, the defence submits that Mr. Brady could not have reasonably foreseen that Miss Bluebell would suffer injuries as a result of excess chlorine exposure. While Miss Bluebell had approached Mr. Brady to ask questions regarding the chlorine levels in the ride, he could not foresee that she would still decide to go on the ride that day, or another, or at all. Miss Bluebell did not actually tell Mr. Brady about her allergy. Indeed, she only asked questions generally about chlorine. As such, it is our submission that the defence could not have foreseen an injury relating to chlorine.
Ms. Huggard, do you have any authority for that position?
Yes, Your Honour. I direct your attention to my submission 1.2, in which I cite the case of Palsgraf and Long Island Rail Company. In this case, a package of fireworks unexpectedly exploded on a train platform, causing a set of heavy brass scales to fall and cause physical injury. This court in that case held that this was not foreseeable, but that if the railway station had been put on notice of exploding fireworks packages, then this would have been foreseeable. We respectfully submit that had Mr. Brady been told specifically about Miss Bluebell's allergy, then Mr. Brady could then have reasonably foreseen the risk. However, this was not the case in this situation.
Ms. Huggard, your learned friend also notes that Mr. Brady had failed to run the safety flush of the ride. Could you speak to this, please?
Certainly, Your Honour. This rests on the same argument built on the case of Palsgraf. If Mr. Brady had been focusing on the safety of the ride and ensuring the mechanics were operational instead of running the safety flush, even though this safety flush was not run, Mr. Brady could still not have foreseen that Miss Bluebell would have suffered such severe injuries, particularly as she pulled herself from the life raft and therefore exposed herself to higher levels of chlorine.
Thank you, though that last point relates more to contributory negligence. Okay. The summary of the legislation was correct there. And so what you need to know is that in order to be held liable for a breach, the respondent must have known or ought to have known of the risk, and this is what makes it foreseeable. You've now heard from both lawyers and their arguments. In a real negligence case, this would probably go on for days, perhaps weeks. There'd be much more argument, there'd be much more case law, and so we've only got time to do a very small part of it today. But I'm going to defer the decision today to you. So, if I could have a show of hands. Please put your hand up if you think the case has successfully been made for the appellant. That is, Mr. Brady knew or ought to have known of the risk that failing to run the safety flush could cause physical injury to Miss Bluebell, who had been asking questions about the chlorine levels on the ride. Anybody think that case has been made? A few? Couple? Okay, lower your hands. Now please put up your hand if you think the case for the respondent has been successfully made, that Mr. Brady did not know or could not have known of the risk that failing to run the safety flush could cause physical injury to Miss Bluebell because her questions had not included disclosing her allergy. And that's very similar to yesterday and very similar to what we normally get. I don't know what the answer is in real life, but it's just a demonstration that of what the judge has to consider when they make a decision like this, and it's not always easy. All right. Questions? Is that what we're up to?
Yes, firstly, can we please have a round of applause for our movement? All right, and then we're gonna grill Bianca a little bit. So standing up in front of a court of law can be really stressful. Standing up in front of a room of people can be a little bit nerve-wracking. There are lots of you here today. The other thing I wanted to say as well is that in terms of what is the answer to this case, this is also a little bit of a teaser because both of our cohorts will actually explore this specific scenario when you do torts. So you guys get to actually enjoy this scenario. You have a little bit of PTSD from this scenario in a few weeks' time. And the rest of you will also get to explore this, the full nuance of this in a lot more detail than a 15-minute mock moot. But we always find it's really useful to talk to Bianca a bit about her experiences and how she felt the first time she went into courtroom and get her to give you some tips and take any questions from you as well.
Sure. So I guess I should say, by way of background, I'm a criminal defence lawyer. That's my trade, if you like. And so appearing in court in criminal law situations is something that I have done for many years, but did not enjoy at the start. So the first time I ever appeared in court, I'll tell you a story. I was working at a law firm. I did my whole degree while working at a law firm. So I started appearing in court in my second year of law school, at which point you have to have permission from the magistrate to do so. But I was on the way to court with my principal lawyer, and I thought I was on my way to court to watch him do this particular case. And on the way, he threw the file at me and said, "You'll do this one." It was the first time I'd ever appeared in court. It was absolutely terrifying. And then he went on to say, "Don't worry, I'll be in the back of the court." And I said, "Please don't do that. I don't want you to watch me." So yeah, your first time in court is likely, if you go down that path, to be terrifying. But it is something that you can do, firstly. You can get used to it. You will learn lots about how to do it from your law degree and from your PLT, and heaps from colleagues and from just doing it. So yeah, it's terrifying. Advocacy for me didn't come naturally. This is something I really like to tell students because I know a lot of you will think, "I don't want to do advocacy. Oh my God, that's the worst thing I could possibly think of. Courtroom advocacy sounds terrifying. I'm never doing that. I'm never going to be a criminal lawyer or anybody else that has to do that." And that was my view when I first started. My first degree wasn't law, it was chemistry. And my biology class required me to do a 5-minute talk. And I said, "I'm not doing that," because that would mean I have to stand up in front of people. And so I just got 0. I took the hit, said, "No, I'm just going to get 0. And now I'm doing this and appearing in court and doing all sorts of things in front of people. So my point is, you can learn how to stand up and talk in front of people. You can learn how to be a courtroom advocate. And I will encourage you to take any opportunity to have a go at that within your law degree and in your PLT, because you can learn to even love it, which I do now. Any questions about that or comments? Who's terrified? Not surprised. But you definitely, it's a matter of confidence. And I think one of the things that you can do best to prepare yourself or to even determine whether it's something that you enjoy doing is to take the opportunities that you get in law school. Do the mooting competitions. You have to do advocacy anyway. You have to do a part of it to get through your law degree and to get through your PLT, so you may as well make yourself feel a bit more comfortable doing it. Questions? Questions from Sam, maybe? Or from online?
I was just going to say, yeah, final chance for any questions, as well as if anyone online has any questions, please pop them in the chat. And I guess while we're just waiting to see if there are any questions, what's your biggest tip for the first week of law school?
Wow. Talk to as many people as you can. I know Tanya already said that, but I agree with it. Law school, especially if you don't come from a law background or have law in your family, which was me, your first day at uni feels really stressful and really scary. So just start talking to each other, because you're all in the same boat and you will all have similar feelings. You'll be able to talk about it. You'll be able to work through it. So your first week of law school is all about, there's no pressure just yet, right? So you've got a chance to be relaxed. You've got a chance to meet people. Talk to as many people as you can. Talk to your lecturers if you want to, the people that you meet, the teachers that you meet, your mentors, which I think Sam's going to talk about. Yeah, just try and be as relaxed as you can this week, and talk to as many people as you can. That's my tip.
Fantastic. Looks like we don't have any questions coming through, so please join me in thanking Bianca. That's perfect. Thank you. Just pop that back before I forget. All right. Okay, sorry, just staring at the chat to make sure I haven't missed any questions. All right, so I asked you a little bit earlier if you could scan the QR codes on the screen and just fill in a little survey for us. I'm just going to give you another moment to do that now so that I can put the results up in a second. It's all anonymous. We just want to get a bit of a feel for what you're thinking about starting your law degree. And the students online, I think Rob is going to drop some links in the chat so you can do this too. So we'll just take a minute to do that and then we'll have a look at the answers. All right, I can see some results coming through, but we'll just give you another 30 seconds just to do that if you haven't yet. All right, so I'll just hit the button on the computer that changes the view. Yep, excellent. So we've got 2 questions. You would have filled in 2 questions. So the first is, where are you joining us from? Evidently, we have lots of people in the room, which is brilliant, but we also have quite a few people joining us online as well, noting the 2 different cohorts, so the undergrad students in person and the JD students, the master's students being able to study online for our online degree. So we have quite a bit of variety in there. The second is the one I want to spend a little bit more time talking about. So as you can see, this is a word cloud. So the way word clouds work is that when lots of people put in the same result, the words get bigger. So we can see that, you know, there are a few words on there that are quite big: excited and nervous, scared, anxious, excited but nervous. I feel like they all sort of group together. And that's that's actually a really awesome place to be in, because we want you to be excited. You're starting something new, you're starting something you're passionate about, and you're keen to explore that, but you're also a little bit nervous. We've given you a very brief introduction to things this morning. You're going to get more of an introduction to that as we progress throughout the day, those in the room with me and those online with Rob. But being a little bit nervous is good. Having nerves is good, because it means that you've got a bit of room to grow. You've got a bit of a chance to experience and to explore. And it also means that you're probably more likely to ask some questions. And that's really, really helpful. So we can see lots and lots of different things coming up there. All right, so I'll leave that up while I keep talking. But we are very shortly about to say goodbye to our JD students who are going to be continuing on with Rob while we in the room continue with a few different activities. But I'll just check if we have, sorry, I'll just switch my screens again and I'll just check if we have any other questions in the chat. Nope. So at this point, we'll say goodbye to those online and I'll log out of Teams so that they can continue on with Rob and we can chat a little bit more in the room. So thank you to our JD students and I'll probably see you in some of your classes. All right, so yes, I have logged off, very good, because otherwise Rob and I are going to be competing to yell at them. So for the rest of the day, it is just us here in the campus, so those in this room and those in the next room. We're going to do lots of different things for the rest of the day. So part of this is about preparing you for next week. So preparing you for what your first week of study will look like. And basically the people that are going to help me do that are the mentors. And actually those mentors that are in the other room, if you could come and join us in 505, please, that would be fantastic. So I can introduce you all. So what is mentoring and why do we have it? So mentoring is a program that we have here in our college, the College of we've recently been rebranded. We're now the College of Business, Creative Arts, Law and Social Science. This is very new. I'm still getting my head around it, the College of BCLS. We were previously the College of Business, Government and Law, BGL, and you might still see some of that branding on different things, including my lanyard, which I'm not wearing, then why. So in our college, we think first year is really, really important. We think that your transition into studying is one of the most important things that you can do, and we want to support you as much as possible in that. That's for a few different reasons. Hello mentors, come on in. So one of those reasons is because university is a bit different. Most of you haven't studied at uni. Some of you might have. Some of you might have done extension studies in various different topics, but you haven't studied a full university degree as yet, and studying at uni is a bit different to studying at high school. But also studying law is going to be very different to anything you've ever done. Even if you've studied some legal studies topics at school, it's still going to be quite different. So law is, I don't know, mentors, what do you think? I'd call it an intense degree. I'd say there's lots of things to learn, lots of things to do, lots of things to read. And that's one of the reasons we have mentors and a really dedicated first year teaching staff. So myself and my colleagues, who you'll meet a bit later, we're here to support you. Support comes at Flinders in lots of different ways. So you have support from teaching staff, you have support from the university and the college, the law school, FULSA, etc. But these mentors that you can see, there are 7 of them in the room. There's one additional mentor who's just chatting to the international relations students, and she'll be back shortly. But these guys are in their second year or above. They've been there, done that. They get it. They know what the challenges are. They know what tips and tricks to give you. If they don't know the answer to your question, they'll be able to find out, but they're here to guide you. So basically, in the little booklets that you have on your tables, and I'm going to steal someone's if I may. Do you mind if I just steal that for a second? Thank you. So in these little booklets that you got, and if you don't have one, please ask us during the break. You've got, hopefully that picks up, a double-sided page, basically, with all of the mentors' details. So you will each have a mentor allocated to you. Thank you so much. Those mentor allocations are, in part, if you're doing combined degree, your mentor is probably doing that same combined degree. But we do understand that sometimes we have just randomly allocated you to a time that isn't going to work for you. It might be a time that you're working. It might be a time that you're in class, which please go to class. Please, you can skip mentoring to go to class. But we do have the ability, of course, to move you between groups. So if you do have any clashes, just let your mentor know and they can get in touch with me and we can make the shift. But going to mentoring sessions is going to be really important to help you through your degree. Now, those mentoring sessions will include lots of different things. Firstly, I need to just lay the ground rule. They will not do your assignments for you, right? That is a breach of academic integrity. They can give you some tips and some guidance. They might show you some of their notes from their topics, but they're not allowed to do your assignments for you. Also, our topics change and we don't really expect them to remember every single thing we say from year to year, particularly if we then change what we're teaching. What they will do, though, is give you tailored information that you need week to week. So in the first sessions, they're just going to make sure you understand what your timetable is and how to make it work and how to plan your time and make sure that you know what you're doing. They will also talk to you about finding your way around, make sure you know where the rooms are that you're meant to be in, make sure that you understand how assignments work and quizzes and things like that. All the way through, as we go through deeper into the semester, they'll give you some tips about referencing and, you know, how they might go about writing their assignments and all sorts of other bits and pieces that, really speaking, only they know because they're current students. I can tell you what worked for me a very long time ago now, but that's not going to be as useful for you as hearing directly from them. So they're going to run mentoring sessions in person. So they're 30-minute-ish sessions at the times that's in your booklet. We schedule them for about an hour, but that's mainly so that we can book some spaces so that you've got sort of a private area that you can chat in. But the formal mentoring part's about 30 minutes. They'll also keep in touch with you by email just to make sure that you've got someone that you can ask these questions to. You can always come and ask me as well. I'm very happy for that. But the mentors are your first stop shop, really. So what I might do is ask all of the mentors to come and join me up here. The other thing I should say is they are a very dedicated group. They have gone through intense training to be able to mentor you across this semester. We have forced them to do lots of icebreakers and things like that. And yeah, you might have some icebreakers to do today. Very gentle ones, just as a way of getting to know each other, because I think it's really important to make some friends, meet some people that are going through the same experience that you are, so that you know who you can talk to in your classes, and you'll have some topics that have group work, so getting to know each other now is really important. The mentors and me, but essentially the mentors are actually running the rest of today. So what will happen for the rest of today is in a minute, you'll be able to go and meet the mentors. So you'll have some smaller group sessions spread across 3 different rooms so that you can meet each other, you can meet the mentors, you can ask them all the questions you don't want to ask in front of 100 other people or 120 other people, and they'll help you with all of that. Then after you've had a bit of a chance to chat with them, I'll invite you all to come back in here and leave your bags in here, because then we're going to have lunch. So if you leave your stuff in here, we can just make sure we keep an eye on it. Basically, pizza lunch will be served across out there as well as in here. And we have a bit of a presentation for the mentors 12:15 from our Dean of Education, who just wants to welcome everybody here. At 12:45, we'll go back into the rooms you were in with your mentors. So at that point, that's when we start the prep for next week. So we start doing some, one of my colleagues calls it activating your legal brain. So we start thinking like lawyers. We start teaching you how to do that. We'll do a few activities like client interviews and negotiation, all low-level skills, but just starting to get you to think about that legal problem solving, because we're going to dive right into that next week, especially in a topic called Essential Legal Skills, which is my topic. And a little bit later after that, you'll get to meet your topic coordinators. So you get to hear all about the topics that you've enrolled in for this semester and what to expect. And then you'll actually have a go at doing a bit of a debate, kind of like what you just saw, but less scripted, a little bit more fun. Who likes to argue? Is anyone? Oh yeah, there's a few hands that go up there. So we're basically going to start doing a little bit of arguing, legally arguing, and the mentors will help guide you through all of that. So that's kind of what we're looking forward to for the rest of the day. Lots of opportunities to participate, less of you sitting and us talking at you. We're done with that part of the day. The rest is all really interactive. So what I will do is just this up on the screen. So I'm going to ask each of the mentors to introduce themselves to you. So they're just going to say their name, what they're studying, what year level they're in, and that's it. Right? Does that make sense? Mentors good? Yep. Excellent. So before they do that, I just want everyone to take a moment to look at their name tag. So you all got a name tag. If you don't have a name tag, when we split up in a second. Come and talk to me and I'll fix that. So on your name tag, you have a number and you have a letter. We're going to use the letters first. So you'll have an A, a B, or a C, and then there's a number after each of those. That determines which room you're in. So those that are in the same room as me at the moment, that's 505. 507 is 2 doors down, and 415 is just the floor below us. So you just go down 1 flight of stairs. The reason we've split up is just so that we have smaller groups, so that you have a chance to interact a little bit better. So in a second, you will need to, perfect timing, Esther, come and join us. So in a second, you will need to move into that room, depending on what letter is on your name tag, and you'll get to meet the mentors. But first, let's hear who they are.
Hey guys, my name is Caleb. I am a fourth-year law and criminology student.
Hey guys, I'm Tash, and I'm also a fourth-year law and criminology student.
Hello again, everyone. My name is Emerson, and I'm a second-year law student.
I'm Christy, and I'm a second-year law and criminology student.
Hi everyone, I'm Daniela, and I am a second-year law and international relations and political science student.
Hi, I'm Erin. I'm in my second year of a Bachelor of Law with Honours and International Relations and Political Science.
Hi everyone, my name is Heather. I'm second year law student.
Hi everyone, my name's Esther and I'm a third year law, international relations and political science and Italian student.
Fantastic. So these are your mentors. In a second, I'll get you to grab your things, or you can leave them in here, it doesn't really matter. Most of you shouldn't need anything for the first session. Maybe a drink bottle, yep. But we don't need pens or anything. Nope. Maybe, okay. So if you could please move into your rooms, that would be fantastic, and we'll see you back up here for pizza at 12:15.
Okay. So the facts were actually based on a real case. The case of Neandorf and Jonkovic, which was the 2005 High Court case. And it's a civil law case based on torts, negligence, and occupiers' liability. In real life, Jonkovic originally won in the magistrate court as she was awarded damages of $24,464. And Neandorf appealed to the Supreme Court and won. The unevenness in the driveway was not within the scope of duty that Neandorf owed to Jonkovic, and therefore no damages were payable to Jonkovic. And Basonko noted, he was the judge, noted that if he was wrong, Jonkovic's damages should be reduced by 30% for the contributory negligence. And Jonkovic appealed to the full court of the Supreme Court and won again, where there was a duty of care owed to all entrants, and the duty was breached, and Jonkovic contributed to her own injuries and failed to take reasonable care of her own safety. So the damages were reduced by 30%. And Neandorf appealed, but it was found that not liable. But yeah. How...
So yeah, you'll find a lot of cases are based on what seem like really trivial and not worth it, and then they end up in the High Court. It's just an interesting thing. They set precedent. It's a bit of a funny thing in law. But yeah, like how did you find that, like figuring out what questions to ask, trying to advise? Anyone want to share? Yeah.
I took a more unorthodox approach, so I talked about abandonment and how that, well, it's more unethical, but you could still make this claim and then it's still not worth like paying out like $20,000 for papers. So you could bring this to a negotiation with the school and then even negotiate it down to like 5 or 10,000 if it's still not worth going to the magistrates or even appealing further.
Yeah, that's a good idea. The next thing we're actually going to do is negotiation, because a lot of things don't go to court because they're so expensive, so you always try and negotiate it out.
We kind of spoke about a similar thing, but like trying not to invalidate the client's kind of feelings and their suffering, whilst also trying to give them the most logical advice, even if it doesn't necessarily align with what they feel they deserve.
Yeah, and that's really good too, because let's be honest, that's a lot of money for falling over. I don't think you'd get much money like that at all. But yeah, no, you're really just trying to balance what your client thinks and what's realistic. And obviously, we don't expect you to know like the law and exactly what to advise. So, you know, anything that seems ethical, logical, not illegal, is probably fine.
Be able to have a go at it. Also, just note, this is not at all what it's actually going to be like. Obviously, it's going to be in a much more professional setting when you do this, and when you do assignments, like, don't think that this is how you're going to be doing it, please. Your tutors and stuff will teach you the way to do that. This is more so that you'll get a brief, like, understanding of, you know, how things work, sort of.
Does anyone else want to quickly share anything, like when you were the client or how you found it? Alrighty, cool. We're going to move on. So, next thing we're doing is negotiation. So you can keep the same pieces of paper. And what I'm going to ask is that can everyone stay in your pairs, and I want you to join up with another pair. There will be a group of 6, just the heads up. But yeah, if you just want to do that now, and then I'll explain what's happening. Do you want to join? Oh, no worries, no stress, no stress. So I'm just trying to figure out the group of... Yeah, just get them to join up as a 6. Okay, I guess we'll just check and then we can explain. But I think that was good. Yeah, no, but you did well. I think they actually were interested in it because it is interesting to learn that went down.
Okay at the start, and then I noticed everyone was looking at me.
Yeah.
And I was like,
no, I get that. Yeah, so we just need them to. So we'll just. Yeah, it's all good. So we'll just wait for them to join up. Just let them. Okay, so what we're going to do is anyone who was lawyer 1, you guys are all one side of the negotiation. And anyone who was lawyer 2, you're the other party in the negotiation. So, do we want lawyer 1 to be Mary and lawyer 2 to be Samantha?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that.
Okay, nice. Is that how it looks on the thing then?
Yeah, it should be. Because Mary was client 1.
Was she client 1? Hold up. Let's check this. Don't want to muck them up. So that means that client 1 was Mary. So that means number 1 should be. Hold up. Let me just check with one of the groups. I just want to. What piece of paper? Just depends what piece of paper they got. Because one side says lawyer, one side says the client.
Okay, so, but I'm pretty sure lawyer 2s were Mary.
Lawyer 2s were Mary?
Yeah, because if they were client...
Yeah.
Again,
Should we just check?
lawyers.
Sorry, we just need to check something before we say it. If you're...
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, okay. So that means if you were client 1, you're representing Samantha. If you were client 2, you're representing Mary. So client 1 was lawyer 1? No, client 1.
So Samantha was client 1, right?
Yeah.
That's what we saw, so that means lawyer 2 was Samantha.
Yeah. Does everyone get what side they're representing? It's basically the client information that you have is who you're representing. So your sheet should have one side that's lawyer, one side client, and you're representing that client. That makes sense.
Take 15 minutes
to prepare. Yeah, so I'll just go through this. Okay, does everyone have that sorted? They know who they're representing? Okay, hold up. So, if you look on the other side, you are Mary, you're representing Samantha. So on the other side, it'll show you a client and you're representing that client. So you should pair up. So 2 of you will be Samantha, 2 of you will be Mary. So yeah, sorry, it's a bit confusing, but yeah, so basically, whatever client information you have is who you're representing. So if you want to, yeah, and then the other person in the group, you're working together if you're both Mary or you're both Samantha. So yeah. Okay, so basically we're going to do a negotiation, which is a very important skill of being a lawyer, as 90% of matters are settled in negotiation rather than going to court. Only about 10% do, or maybe even less. Thanks. So the skill of negotiation is to know the law, but you want to really avoid using it. So rather than saying, like, according to legislation, blah, this is what we should do, you're trying to focus on what both parties can do to reach a mutually beneficial agreement. So yeah, one side is going to start. So you're both going to be negotiating for one client, basically, against each other, trying to find mutually beneficial ground for both of your clients. And yeah, you want to focus on each party's interests. So what I'd recommend is write a list of what your client wants to get out of this negotiation. And so for people representing Mary, so create a list of what she wants. You want to, and this is for both, what is something that your client must have? Like, absolutely 100% has to have this, will not budge on it. And then what's the best option if you can't reach an agreement? Like, for instance, that could be walking away, that could be going to court. So what's your second best option, and what's your worst option if you can't reach an agreement in this negotiation? And then what do you think that you and the other side could agree on? Stuff that you know may be mutually agreeable. And then what do you think the other side is going to argue? Because if you have all these points, then you can be more prepared to argue and have counter arguments. That's pretty much it. So yeah, basically when you start the negotiation, we'll give you about 15 minutes to prepare. Everyone's going to want to start, so everyone's going to start speaking at once, but please keep it friendly. Like, you know, this isn't real, and we understand you're very passionate about your client's interests, but please, no swearing, no yelling, casual, you know, keep it good, please. And, you know, you can be useful to start by outlining the different issues you both want to discuss, so like set a little bit of an agenda, and then work through each issue and attempt to solve it. And if you can't, that's okay. But, yeah, please keep it friendly.
Please ask questions. If you have any questions, just ask. One advice.
So yeah, you got 15 minutes to plan your defence or your negotiation argument. So we'll start at 1. Do you guys have the planning? Let's just check. So we're up to negotiation. So we'll go 1:35 they start. Because we don't need both sides for this.
It wasn't foreseeable that risk.
So until 2 o'clock, right?
Yeah, so 1:35. Yeah, I guess we can just walk around for now.
Yeah.
Do you want the mic?
I love this mic.
I know some of you have already started based on just walking around the room, but if you haven't started already, you can actually start your negotiations now. Okay, guys, I think everyone's pretty much done. Let's wrap it up and do a little debrief. I think to start, how did y'all go? Good. Did everyone reach an agreement? I don't think everyone did. How many of you are going to court? 1, 2, 3. Okay. And yeah, why? That's the question we ask a lot when we read these cases, like, why are you going to court? But I'm sure y'all understand through this negotiation that sometimes you just can't reach an agreement. And that's why this case did actually end up going to court. Yeah. Do you all have any questions, like, in regards to this case or in regards to negotiation in general? Like, anything you'd want us to tell you? Okay.
Is there anything, well, like, did you guys like negotiating? Like, did you find it all right? Good, seeing some nods. Did you find it, like, hard or easier than you thought it would be? Or just a bit, you know, all right? Cool. Is there anything you guys would do, like, differently next time? Or if you were on the other side, would you do anything differently? Okay, so you nod, I'm going to pick on you. What would you do differently?
Like if I was on the other side?
Yeah.
Well, they kind of started high and like went pretty low pretty quick. I would have like fought a little longer. Like it was pretty quick negotiation.
That's fair.
I think a lot of the time they start high anyway, but they have this really small number in mind. So just getting a number that's even slightly higher than that is the goal. When you think about it, the orthotics and the specialized footwear cost nowhere near that much. So I think a tip that we'd give you is when doing these negotiations, make sure you're getting every little piece of information out of them and you want receipts. When numbers like that are provided, you want receipts. Be like, hey, can you provide me with the receipts proving that this is the amount you paid or why you came to that amount, sort of thing.
Anyone else got anything they would do differently, or if they were on the other side, they'd do differently? Cool. Do you think your client, like, so for people who represented Mary, do you think Mary would be happy with what you got for her? Yeah? Do you think that she would be?
Mary was very happy with the outcome. We managed to negotiate from $1 million to an all expenses paid trip to Thailand, so all good.
That's not bad. Yep. Other people who represented Mary, do you think she would have been happy? Maybe. No.
I mean, I think, other than the court ones, I think she'd be happy to not actually go to court.
Yeah, it's probably one of our big ones. Yeah. But it's fair. For people who represented, what's her name? Samantha, do you think Samantha would have been happy? No? What happened?
Why?
Do you want to explain? Yep, that's fair. That's fair, but yeah, you know, if you didn't end up in court though, that would be pretty good as well. So, you know, it's a win and a loss. Yeah, anyone want to say anything from like?
It's been a bit quiet there.
Okay, I guess not. So, yeah, that's kind of how it goes. Obviously, we know this case went to court, which, like we've said, is a bit surprising it went there.
When you read a lot of these cases, you think, why did they do that? People can just be petty sometimes. They just want what they want. And some people are in it for the thrill. They just come in, like some clients, if y'all choose to go down that route, you'll get clients that come in just wanting, they want to know the law, be part of it, and they're very enthusiastic. And you just have to kind of talk them down a bit. That's your job, is like, they're lawyers, to give them advice. So if you think their case isn't worth like taking to court because it would just end up costing them more than it would to just resolve outside of court, you just kind of try to talk them down, even be like, no, I want this. It's just hard sometimes.
Yeah, so look, our next thing starts at 2 and we don't really have anything else planned. So if you guys just want to chat amongst yourselves for the next, 5-10 minutes, or like, go to the toilet or whatever, you're welcome to do that.
Yeah, we're doing like a meeting your topic coordinators after this. So are they coming back?
I think so. Or, well, the 2 rooms.
And I think because some people left, did you have a lot of people in that room at the start?
So.
Alrighty, so we might get started again now that you've had some lunch, now that you've done a few breakout activities. A little bit more talking from us, not a lot of talking this time, but this is all sort of education themed. So you're going to meet my colleagues, your topic coordinators, and I'm going to show you a bit about flow and make sure that you're feeling comfortable with what you need to do for next week. We're going to skip over me. So I'm Sam, as you might remember from earlier. So we're going to skip over essential legal skills. I'll talk about that in a bit more depth a bit later on. But we'll start with Judith. And if you could stand at the lectern so the other room can see you.
There's a camera somewhere. Hi, everyone. So my name's Judith Bannister. I am the topic coordinator for 1311, which is Introduction to Law and Justice. I'll be teaching with my colleague Chris Wilson, so one or other of us will take all of the workshops, so I may or may not see you, or Chris will. We've skipped over, Sam says she skips over essential legal skills. We don't skip over essential legal skills because essential legal skills and Introduction to Law and Justice are the introductory, together they work together, and they are the introductory subjects. They're absolutely essential for everything that you study from here on in. I'm looking at my colleagues behind me. You see, our topics are important. We get you ready for all the other topics. So Introduction to Law and Justice, you'll be covering a range of things. We will introduce concepts such as the separation of powers. We'll explain the difference between the legislature, the executive and the judiciary. We will talk to you about a federal system, the state powers, the Commonwealth and so forth. Now, I can see a few smiles around. If you've studied legal studies at school, you might be thinking, I know all this, and that's great. If you have, if you're now sitting there thinking, oh my goodness, I didn't do legal studies at school, am I behind? You are not. We are all starting right from the very beginning, right from the basics, because the way we teach this will guide you through all of the rest of your law topics. So if you've done legal studies at school, that's great, but we are starting from the very beginning. I can't remember if I said anything different last time when I did this talk, but I know what I said. I didn't talk to. We'll teach you about the judiciary, the hierarchy in the judiciary. I think that's all I mentioned last time. If you've got any questions, you're very welcome to email me. By now, hopefully, well, Sam's going to talk to you about flow, but hopefully you'll have seen the announcement that's come out from me for Intro to Law and Justice. And that's inviting you to email me if you've got any questions as well. Otherwise, I'll see you, most of you, some of you, all in class next week. Who's next?
Can we add one more?
Yes, what did I forget?
No, I didn't brief you on this.
Right.
Just the fact that we've opened some extra classes, so if anyone
Oh, yes, that was in my message. That was in my announcement. But yes, we have, this is fabulous news. It relates to the city, so all of you, we've opened 2 more classes on a Tuesday. Have a look at the announcement that went out on Flow. But if any of you are able to transfer across into those new classes, either because they work for you better in your timetable, or even if you think, well, I could do that one, we would love to even up the numbers in all the classes. So thank you. There we go.
Now I get the microphone. Hello, my name is Joel. I am the coordinator for contract law, which some of you might be going, I'm not doing that, which is about right. So depending on what degree you're doing, depends on if you're going to be seeing me or Rob. So if you've got a double degree, you might not be doing that this year, but if you don't, you might have to see me a little bit more. So I teach contract law. Contract law is effectively the law of how we deal with people on a day-to-day basis, how we enter into agreements with each other, and then how we consequently and subsequently enforce those. I would say it's the first topic that you get to learn stuff about that you can then go in and use and annoy people with, particularly when it comes to, like, if something's broken when you buy it from a shop, you can take to the retailer and think, I know my Australian consumer law rights, I want a refund. You can be really get into that and annoy everyone. But it's a great fun topic where we get to talk a little bit about the realities of law and how they actually work. We have myself teaching classes here, as well as a casual who is a barrister, so he'll come in and teach you if you've got the Wednesday class. We have a lot going on in the topic, so really looking forward to it. And if you have logged online, hopefully, and you've seen the flow announcement, best thing to do to start off the topic is have a look. There's a little quiz in week 1 or survey, which talks about how you engage with contract law. would be awesome if you have a go at that, because we'll have a chat about the outcome in class. I think that's all I have to talk about, though.
G'day, I'm Rob. So legal innovation. Oh my God. Who loves innovation and technology? Hands up. Yeah, like 1, maybe 2, 3 people in the room. Thank God that's not what this topic is about. Yay, this is actually about legal practice. So this is the human-centered design thinking that Tanya mentioned before. It is not about tech. I know tech very deeply. It's where I practiced. But you try to run tech arguments on me, I'm just going to shut you down. Law is about people, and that's what we're going to focus on. People, their problems, how to understand them deeply, and then how to come up with some solutions to those and advocate them. So that's legal practice skills we're building. Unlike some of the other topics, it's more scaffolding towards practice. It has power and effect in prepping you to do good work in any environment, law or non-law, but we focus it in legal practice. So I would really like to rebadge this something like practice capabilities, but that's a story for next year. You'll see that sub-branding in the way it's taught this coming year. So it's got a very strong consonance with the capability framework that the New South Wales Law Society just released at the very end of last year. And that's why we teach it to you. Thank you.
So these, or between the 4 of us, were your topic coordinators. I'm going to let my colleagues leave, though, so they can go do other things, but they will all see you next week. Thank you all for coming on. And as, oh yes, we can absolutely applaud them as they make the long journey to the door. All right, so as Joel mentioned, some of you won't be doing all 4 of these topics. Basically, this is what the first semester study load looks like if you're doing a straight law degree. Some of you might have a 5th topic in there called Digital Lawyer. I'm not quite sure why that's allowing first-year students to enrol into it. It's a 3rd level topic, so you need to do some first-year stuff first. We haven't quite worked out why. But if you are enrolled in that topic, you'll get an email from me a little bit later this week just sort of saying we'd really love you to do your first-year topics first and guiding you through pulling out of that topic for this semester. If you are doing a combined degree, so say law criminology, law psychology, law business, whatever it might be, you'll definitely be doing those top 2 topics. And then you will be probably doing, well, it might just be those 2 from the law degree. It might also be those 2 plus 1 of the other 2. You'll have to do all of them at some point, but usually it's at least 2, maybe 3 law topics and either 1 or 2 from the other degree. Full-time enrolment is 4 topics in a semester, so we don't want you to do more than that. You'll hear me in Essential Legal Skills bemoan the workload sometimes and say, I would really love it if every first-year student only did 3 topics in their first semester so they could get used to things and transition as well as possible. But, you know, we'll talk a bit more about that a bit later. I should caveat that by saying that if you're an international student, your visa won't let you do that. You have to do 4 topics. But sometimes doing fewer topics is actually really helpful to balance everything else that you have going on in your life, and more about that in Essential Legal Skills. Speaking of essential legal skills, I'm going to talk about what we do in that topic by demonstrating some use of flow. This is where the teaching rooms are set up really poorly in the city because it means I'm going to have to move over here, face away from all of you, but I'll keep talking into the mic so that I can demo some things on the screen for you. I should also say, mentors, if you want to take a seat, or if any of you want to move into the other room or take a seat in here, please feel free. I'm just conscious that you're just standing here in the corner and you really don't. Just relax for a little bit. This is your break time. All right, so I'll just change screens. And I apologise to the people in the other room who can't see me, but as long as you can see that my screen, that's fine. So this is Okta. This is where you log in. This is where you find all of the apps or the tiles that you'll be using throughout your studies with us. As you can see, there's OneDrive. Really good. Make sure you turn it on so that you're saving everything to OneDrive. So you save versions and it backs things up for you. You've got your Outlook, and Microsoft 365 is there as well. You also have one called Flow, and that's the one I want to spend all of my time talking about today. So Flow means Flinders Learning Online. I don't want to do the tour. Flinders Learning Online, the platform we use is called Canvas, so you might also hear us call it Canvas. They're the same thing, it's fine. And then you'll have all these little tiles, or course cards. I have lots and lots of them because I'm teaching program director, so I have to see all of our topics. You will have somewhere between 4 and 6 of them. So you'll have one for every topic, and then you'll have what we call a community page. So this red one here, the law community page, you should all have access to that as well. If you're doing combined degree, you might also have a community page like the criminology community page, which is on here somewhere, this top one, the true crime real impact one. Or if you're doing psych, there's a psych community page, etc., etc. So you'll have different pages based on what you're studying. I am, though, going to go into essential legal skills. And I'm going to turn on the student view so that I can theoretically see what... Sigh. Okay, so this is our page. So you'll have one of these for every topic. You'll have a bit of a welcome video that kind of introduces you to the topic with some slides. There are some little things for you to click on and have a look. If you've never used Canvas, there's a tour or a flow tour that you can use to just get acquainted with what Canvas is like, just to make sure you're really understanding everything. There's a topic guide that sets out the expectations for the topic. There's a little quiz. We often put up a little quiz. You'll see some in some of the other topics as well. Sometimes they're because we want to know what you already know about an area. So contract has one like that. Rob likes, in legal innovation, likes to collect some data about students' background study experiences and things like that. This one's just me trying to get to know how you feel about coming in to study uni and what you're thinking about the topic. So just an optional quiz if you'd like to have a go. The reason I like to give you a quiz is because you'll have lots of quiz assessments throughout your law degree, and I want to make sure that you know how to do a quiz and that you're comfortable doing a quiz. So this is basically your practice run for your quiz assessments. The other things to know, so the announcements here, announcements are really important. That's how we communicate with you. They get pushed to your email inbox. So through Outlook to your university email account. We really encourage you to use your university email account. If you email us from a non-university account, there is every possibility that it's going to go into our junk folders and that we won't see it. So please use your university account to email us. And you'll get used to pretty quickly our email addresses for all staff of firstname.lastname@flinders.edu.au. That's full first name. So for me, Samantha, not Sam. And then Maddie in the topic as well, so she's Madeline. And then we also have Eleanor, who I haven't put her details up just yet because we had some flow issues, but we'll get her up a bit later this week. So those of you who are in these classes in the city, so if you are in the, or I have to remember the times, Tuesday 10 a.m. class or the Wednesday 12 o'clock class, you'll have my colleague Eleanor as your workshop leader. If you're in the Tuesday 12 o'clock class, you'll have me. It doesn't matter who you have, we're all teaching the same things. I will run and design the whole topic, but Eleanor and Maddie are teaching the workshops, and Maddie's teaching up at Bedford Park. Modules and assignments are the other two that I want to flag. So let me just collapse some of these. So every topic will have modules for us to work through. For our undergraduate topics, like the degree that you're doing, they map with the different weeks. So week 1 is basically our module 1. And every week you'll have some key things to do. So week 1 is next week. So you'll have an overview of what we're doing. For the first week, I did a little video over what you can expect that particular week. That's not an every week thing. You'll have some objectives. Sometimes we'll also tell you where you're up to in the course. I didn't do that for week 1, so that you have an idea of what's coming. You'll have a little bit of a to-do list, so to give you some more detail. A couple of people have emailed me and said the readings link isn't working. I've been here all day, so I haven't had a chance to chase that up. But if any of you in the room were the ones that emailed me, I will work on it tomorrow and get that sorted. I don't know what's going on there. Technology can be a struggle sometimes, and sometimes what you see and what we see don't line up. So if you ever see anything in your topic that you think, oh, I can't access this, but I should be able to, or I just don't know about this, or is this right? Please just email us. You know, we're pretty lovely people, all the people that you met a few minutes ago. We would rather you tell us so that we can fix it as quickly as possible. So don't feel nervous, just send us an email. And in the topic guide, you'll see like a little template for how best to contact staff. If you feel a bit nervous about sending an email to a staff member, you can just copy that template. Then you have some videos. So usually an hour or less of videos, usually broken into shorter bits, so usually around the 15 to 20 minute bits, for you to have a little bit of a look at. The stuff that we look at in this topic next week directly relates to some of the problem solving you've just been doing and what you're doing a little bit as well. And then you'll have some readings. So we have a textbook in this topic. There's more about that in the announcement. We have it available online. You can use the online version. Just be aware that all of the electronic versions of our books have a limit on how many people can use it at once. So you might want to download bits from it, or you might want to think about doing your readings a little bit in advance so that you can get to access those chapters before other people, sort of planning your time and things like that. You can also buy the book if you want to for this topic. So this topic is very different to what first year topics look like at other universities, the equivalent topic. So I actually wrote a textbook to match up with this particular topic, which is why my name is with the textbook. I don't mind if you don't buy it. You definitely don't need to buy it, but you need to read it. You need to access it and you need to read it. That's what's most important. I want you to have the information that comes from it. Whether you're reading it online, whether you're borrowing it from the library, whether you're borrowing it from somebody else, it doesn't matter. As long as you actually read it, it will help you, hopefully. Then you will have, so for us, we have a discussion forum, so you can pop your comments in here. We'll talk more about the discussion forum next week in the workshops. It's really helpful because you'll have a reflective component of the topic at the end of semester. So being able to pop up your discussion points, your reflections on things is really useful to help build that reflective assessment at the end of semester. Whether you pop them up visibly for everybody to see or whether you note down your own reflections, it doesn't matter, but it's really important to do. You'll have some stuff for a workshop. So for this one, you have to watch the lectures and then you just have to read through this and come along. There's a lot of reading in law. This is a very small amount of reading. It doesn't seem it yet, but you'll get used to reading lots and lots of things. I think the mentors will all attest to that, and probably have some good tips. I have some good tips for you as well that we'll unpack as we work through our workshops. And then there's sort of a wrap up at the end. I think every week you get, in this week I've actually given you a formative quiz. Doesn't count for anything. It's just a little check-in to see how week one is going, relating to the materials. And in week one as well, I've tacked in all of the information about academic integrity. The university requires you to do a quiz on academic integrity. It's very important. We take it very seriously. Law takes it even more seriously. So we've got a specific law-related academic integrity quiz in this topic. You have to pass it. Pass mark's 100%, but you can do it as many times as you need to get to that mark. But these are the resources for you to have a look through. I'm just flagging that they're there. We'll talk about them in more detail in the workshops next week, but they're there if you want to have a start looking through things. They're the resources that go with that. And then you'll get a little, check flag thing to show you that you've hit the end of that particular week's module. So that's what a module looks like on Flow. Every topic will be, we all structure things slightly differently, but it'll have that sort of structure of here's the stuff you need to do, here's what you do, some reading, watch some things, do this prep for your workshop. That's the end of the module. So it sort of all goes through that sort of structure. The other thing you'll find is you'll have assignments. At this stage, you probably won't see much information about your assignments. Like when I click on the assignments tab, that's all there is. It just tells you when they're due and when they'll be available. That's going to be pretty normal at this time of year because we're all madly trying to set everything up for you. And sometimes it's a purposeful decision that we don't want to release an assignment until you've learned some things relevant to that assignment, because otherwise you might have to you might have to start it, learn some things and then work on it and redo it and all of that. So we are quite careful of when we release things so we can teach you some stuff, what you need to know first. So that's how Flow should look in most of your topics. Does anyone have any questions about that? Yes? It depends on who the publisher is, and which platform is being used. So for some, you'll be able to download, say, 10% of that particular textbook. For some, you'll be able to download 10% every day. So more and more. So it'll tell you, like when you click on the textbook online, it'll be very clear about what you can and can't do. Yep. Any other questions at this stage? Okay, cool. All right, so I just... sorry, I'm just switching screens again. All right, so getting your essentials sorted, the university has put together a little bit of a video to help. Oh gosh, sorry, I'm just trying to get some volume up so that when I play it, it will make sense. They put together a bit of a video to show you what you're expected to do in those first few weeks. So I'm just going to play that to you, and then I have a couple of other comments, and then we'll move into our breakout groups and do our final activity for the day. Let me just fix the volume from before.
Welcome to Flinders University. This is your guide to getting started, staying connected, and finding support. Let's go. First things first, Wi-Fi. Connect to the Edge Your Own Wi-Fi using your Student Fan and Flinders password. For more information, head to the Wi-Fi page on our Flinders website. Flow, or Flinders Learning Online, is the main platform that the university uses. It runs off of a platform called Canvas, so you may hear people call it by that name too.
Need help with Flow? Head into the Orientation Events Planner page and register for the Intro to Flow session. If you need help to enroll and register, Flinders has plenty of support available to make the process smooth and stress-free.
You could simply submit a request online via Ask Flinders, visit Student Services on Level 2 for personalised assistance,
or watch the Student System how-to guides on YouTube for quick visual guides. You also need to order your student ID card.
You can visit Student Services on Level 2 or use the Order My ID Card app on your Okta dashboard.
You can get your student ID posted straight to you. Just make sure your address is up to date, and you can even choose your preferred name.
If you're at the City campus, you can also pick up your ID card from Student Services on Level 2.
At the City campus, you can find the library on Level 4, chat with librarians, access textbooks, journals, videos, and more.
Flinders also offer a huge variety of scholarships, which you can find on our Flinders Scholarships page.
Getting to the City campus? Easy.
With the City campus just a 5-minute walk from Adelaide Railway Station, you've got plenty of public transport options like trams and Adelaide Metro buses right at your doorstep. The train links our City, Bedford Park and Tonsley campuses, making travel between them super convenient and easy.
Feeling unsafe? Security is here for you 24/7. Just ring 8201-2880 or find hotline phones around campus. If you experience harassment or unacceptable behaviour, you can always make a confidential report. It doesn't start a complaint, it starts support.
Better You connects you with wellbeing resources, physical, mental, social and spiritual. Check it out to look after you.
You can see a doctor, counsellor or disability advisor via phone or online appointments through health counselling and disability services. These appointments can be bulk billed or covered by an overseas health card. Contact them on 08 8201 2118, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. weekdays.
Are you an international student? Come over to the International Student Services where you're supported through advice, volunteering, social events, meet and greets and much more.
Young Corinthi supports Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander students with tutoring, study spaces, financial support and community. Ready to kickstart your career? Careers Hub is here to help you build resumes, networking, business ideas and placements to jumpstart your career.
If you're a student with disability or mental health conditions, visit the University Specialist Employment Partnership Team. The USEP team offers specialised on-campus employment help in partnership with the Community Bridging Services. More details on all the services discussed in this video are available on the link above.
And just remember, university is more than just classes. It's about finding your path, building your future and accessing support.
And don't forget, having fun along the way. We're super excited to have you here.
Welcome to Flinders. Welcome to Flinders University.
So, I just wanted to talk about one other thing before we move into these rooms, and that is just to talk about some of the opportunities that you have while you're here at Flinders. So they talked about all the support that you can access if you Google. Our website can be challenging. If you just Google Flinders support, you'll be able to have a whole list of different support services. But also, you've all met many of the mentors now. They are also your first call for support as well, because while they might not, they're not qualified doctors or counsellors or anything like that, they have a really detailed knowledge of all the support services that we have, so they can help direct you to what you might need. If you need study support or whatever, they can direct you directly to those services. But you also have lots of opportunities throughout your law studies. So you heard about legal innovation. That's something that a lot of law schools don't offer. You heard about the fact that we have practical skills. You heard probably from Tanya a bit earlier about our legal clinic and some other opportunities. The one, you could be studying honours, you might have exchanges or internships, things like that. But the one I really wanted to flag is our Flinders Legal Centre. So at our Flinders Legal Centre, so this is at Bedford Park, this is a working legal clinic where we provide free legal services to the public. All students will do a semester there. It's kind of like an internship where you spend one day working there in a topic called Law in Action in your third year. But for first years, we offer you the opportunity to spend half a day there. So it basically, you get on the train. If you come in from the city, you can get on the train and catch the train up, and it's across the road from that part of the campus. But you can register to spend a half a day there, meeting with clients, shadowing the senior students. Some of our students might be doing that this year, some of our mentors. So shadowing them, hearing the advice that's given, helping to write things up. You won't have to do more than take notes. I promise you, they won't make you do any legal advice. They can't. You can't practice as a lawyer until you finish your degree and PLT. But it's just a great opportunity to see how a law firm works and to get a bit of a taste for what it will be like in your third year when you do Law in Action. So that's something that's only available to first year students. You don't have to do it. It is not compulsory at all, but if you'd like to do it, it's Tuesday, Wednesdays and Thursdays throughout semester. So you can find more information about that on our Essential Legal Skills flow page. There's a whole module called Flinders Clinical Placement. Hopefully that makes sense. But we'll remind you about that in Essential Legal Skills in our workshops, but you'll see a lot of the things you've just done. So the client interviews, negotiations, things like that. Those are the sorts of things you'll see at the clinic. All right, so we have one last activity for you, and then we'll come back in here just to wrap a couple of things up for the day. So our final session is on advocacy. So advocacy is court work. So it's that idea of mooting that we talked about before. For our purposes today, this is more of a debate, so more of a chance for you to explore some things and argue a little bit with each other. And we're going to mix up the groups a little bit so you can meet some of the other mentors and you can meet some of the other students. So this is where you go back to your name tag and you have a look at those numbers on your name tag. If you have lost your name tag, just come and see me afterwards and I'll work out which group we can put you in. So you'll see on here, if you have a 1 on your name tag, you're going to be in here in 505. If you have a 2 on your name tag, you're going to be in 507, so the next room a couple of doors along. And if you have a 3, you're going to be downstairs in room 415. So if you could please move to the session with your mentors, and we'll be back here by 3:40, please. Actually, we probably spent a little bit longer on this. All right, so if that's not helping. All right, so we might just, those of you coming in, there are still some seats down the front here. There are lots of seats up the back. Feel free to just move in and make yourself comfortable. We've not got a long session for this last little bit, but so those next to the door, if you come in, and there are seats, there are chairs up the back and there are chairs in the front here. Keep coming, move towards us. Yep, that's it. Very good. Excellent. I'm not allowed to have you all standing in a corner because it's a WHS violation. So, yep, thank you. Really? Yes. Yep. Yep. All right, so have we got all the mentors? No. All right, so I think we're all good. Excellent, everyone's managed to find a seat. Fantastic. Okay, so, oh, and here they are. Excellent. mentors, if you line up the front, that would be fantastic. Put your stuff down, that's fine. How was your advocacy session?
Very good.
Yeah? Did anyone enjoy arguing? Yes. Yep. Whose team won? Oh yeah, I expected more hands than that. There should have been more in each room that one, but anyway, that's all fine. So this last little bit of the day is designed just to capture anything that we've missed. So we've given you a jam-packed day. It's a fairly long day. You get to do lots and lots of different things across the day, but we do appreciate that it's a long day. You have, depending on how you've done your timetable, you might well have classes that, are spread out this amount of time over the day. But we like to end the day by going down the line and giving you our best tip for how well you can start first year and what that might be. I'll get us started. And we did find when we did this on Monday that some of the mentors had 2 or 3 tips. That's absolutely fine. You're very welcome to do that. Just things that would have helped you. We've sort of talked about some of this. You have some top tips as well in your little booklets that we handed out before. But once we've done those tips, it's your chance to ask us questions. So just to see if there's anything we've missed, if there's something we talked about today that you went, oh yeah, there was a lot of information about that. Can you just explain that again? Or anything like that. Now's a great chance just as we wrap up to do that. So I'm going to start because none of the mentors wanted to really. So my best tip is that you should write the question down. I know Alex said at the start of the day, sort of ask the damn question. My tip would be write your questions down. You'll have lots of questions and you have questions throughout your study. You might have them while you're reading. You might have them while you're at home. Some of my students have said they have their burning questions come in the middle of the night and they think, oh, well, I'll remember it tomorrow, but they never do. So, and I'm a big one for this. I will forget the things that I have to remember. So write down the question, write yourself a list of questions. You might find that as you're doing your readings or in the workshop, you can actually answer them yourself. Brilliant. But if not, they're there for you to ask us in our workshops. It's there for you to ask your mentors sort of as you're working through the week. So write down your list of questions.
I would say that a work-life balance is really important. Do something you enjoy. Do some exercise, like go for a walk. Have some like vitamin D, go outside. Enjoy the sunshine a bit. And then if you're really struggling, just come back to your work later. Take a break, do something else. And it'll honestly refresh your mind a lot.
Mine is based on a question I had during advocacy about balancing work and your sleep. And I think it's really important. Obviously, you need to get sleep. What I like to do is block off certain parts of my day in my calendar just for study so that I'm getting things out of the way as I go. As I go, so that I'm not leaving everything until the end of the week and I'm losing sleep over it. Obviously, I know that's hard, like easier said than done. But if you do have that plan in place, it makes it a lot easier. Sorry, I have another one.
Please.
There's no silly question. I guarantee you, like 5 out of 10 people will have the exact same question as you and will be as scared as you to ask the question. So please ask the questions.
I just want to add something, if I may, and then Caleb wants to add something as well. So I just want to add something to that idea of studying. I have seen a lot of students think, you know what, I can study a full day without having many breaks. I'll just study all morning and then I'll have lunch and then I'll study all afternoon. Try not to study the same thing for more than 2 hours at a time. So there is some literature that says that sort of 90 minutes to 2 hours is the beautiful study window. So being able to have a break after that and move away from it is really helpful. Your exams will be around the 2.5 hour mark. Don't stress about those. We'll prep you for those and run sessions about those. But thinking about studying at a max for that amount of time is really helpful. It also aligns with the fact that your workshops are 2 hours.
Oh, what was my tip again?
I don't know, but you can come back to it later.
If you get a bad grade, don't be so disheartened about it. At the end of the day, it is important to get, like, at the start of the day, it was said, if you fail, it's okay. And even if you get a bad grade, you do get disappointed at the end of the day. Don't stress on it too much because then that just affects every other bit of your study that you have planned for the rest of however long. So I think don't dwell on the grades that you could have done well in and instead focus on what you could do well in.
And come and ask us. You know, we like to hear from students. We're like all of the topic coordinators you saw before, we are here because we want to work with you and we want to help you succeed. Come and ask us. If you get a grade that you're not, well, how many mentors, put your hand up if you had a grade that wasn't quite as good as you were expecting at some point. That is every hand. That is fairly normal, particularly at the start. At the start of law school, you have no idea, apart from us bombarding you with information today, you have no idea what to expect. You don't know what the standard is. Particularly for your first semester, do the best that you can. Aim to pass, aim for 50. Anything above that, icing on top of the cake, but use this semester to really get into your study habits, to learn what works for you so that you know exactly what you're doing by the time second semester comes around. And I'm not saying that you will only get 50s, you will get a range of grades. Every assessment is different, but it's about learning how you learn and learning what we're expecting.
I guess similar to what you said just before. Make like realistic to-do lists and like schedule breaks. It's like easy to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to work all day on this day. You're just going to get yourself burnt out and stressed out. Your eyes are going to hurt. Just like have like a actual structured list of like things you want to get done each day and have it be realistic. Don't have like a million things on there because you're just going to feel like you haven't got through what you need to if you don't get through that whole list. And it's always going to be longer than you think that it's going to be.
Can I ask you a follow-up question? So when you say realistic, if we're talking about readings, how do you make a realistic to-do list about readings? So let's say you have like 2 chapters of a textbook to read. How would you break that down?
I do like one at a time, sort of see how long it takes me to do one chapter. After I finish one chapter, maybe, take a break, get up, move around, make myself a coffee or something, go for a walk.
So don't just try to push through and do it all in one go?
No, because it's just going to, you're going to overload yourself. You're going to have too much information swimming in your head, especially at the start when you're still getting used to all the new language and everything. Just stick to like small bits at a time when you're getting used to it. Don't try to get your whole week's worth of work done on a Monday.
Reading, some topics like have chapters on like when you're watching your lectures. Some lecturers give you chapters per like slide, and I think a really good way to like make sure you grasp the concepts are to actually, as you go through the slides, read those parts, like those pages in the like textbooks.
I guess also like specifically with criminal law, most weeks you're going to have like upwards of like 8 cases that'll be listed to read. Don't feel like you have to read every single one of them. They are very long. Just try and get like a bit of an idea of at least a few of them, what they're trying to sort of prove. I don't think I read all of the cases every week.
For context, so when you have your topics, this will be a bit like Intro to Law and Justice and Contract Law this semester. So we'll explain what the key things from some of the cases are as part of the lecture, but we'll also ask you to read the case itself. So you'll get a pretty good idea of what the case is about just from what we say, and then that can help guide, and you'll learn some tips on how to do all of this. But you are definitely not expected to read every word of every case, and you really need to, from week 2, we will give you tips on how to be able to do that a little bit more efficiently to manage your time.
A lot of them are like 40 plus pages of like dense. So yeah.
The first case I give you in Essential Legal Skills is 17 pages, and you're all going to tell me that's really long, and I completely understand that when you're starting, but it's not.
That's a short one.
It is a short one. It is a short one, but you won't feel that, and none of you felt that last year or the year before either. Sorry. For the mentors down there, we've just monopolised the time, but you go.
I've got 2 tips. The first one, it's a little bit cheesy, but I wanted to share a different perspective on the word fail. So it's, I got taught this from one of my year level coordinators in high school. It was FAIL is an acronym. It's your first attempt in learning. So don't be afraid to fail. It's okay. We all will. What matters the most is how you move from it, how you take on your feedback and push forward what you learn from it, essentially. And my second tip, I'm pretty sure someone said this before today, but I really have to emphasise, please attend your workshops if you can. A lot of vital information gets shared at workshops, assignment tips. If you have any questions, it's great to ask in person as well. Even if you can be brave enough to put your hand up, as someone mentioned earlier, I can't remember who, and ask the question, there's definitely someone who's also thinking it. So workshops are just a great way to interact not only with everyone else that's here and whoever's in your class, but your lecturers, topic coordinators, whoever's running it. So I'd say attend your workshops.
And I should flag that our entire degree is accredited just for in-person attendance. So you can't attend anything online, it's all in person. And we do expect you to be coming. It might be a week where you're sick or something like that, that's fine. But we do expect you to be coming to those workshops because, as Danielle said, that's where the learning happens.
I guess my tip is there's going to be times when you're confused and overwhelmed and you're going to feel like everyone else understands the concept way better than you do. And that's okay. Like, you may not get it the first time, you may reread stuff, you may not get it the second time, but, ask a question, go over it again, chat to a friend about the concept. You will understand it eventually, and everyone learns at their own pace. So I guess what I'm saying is don't compare yourself too much to other people and just learn and do what works for you.
Well, I would say my biggest tip, my only tip would be take notes as you go. I've said it a few times today already. When you're watching your lectures, you might feel tired. It might be late at night or early in the morning. I personally didn't watch any lecture where I couldn't take notes at the same time, because having to re-watch it just to take notes again, I'd rather stop, pause, go back a little bit. But the benefit of taking really good notes as you learn, as you go through each week, is when you come to exam time, and if you, for example, have an open book exam and you need a cheat sheet, it's a lot easier to just rearrange notes you've already taken throughout the semester according to the exam guideline than it is to watch 12 lectures a week before your exam. So just keeping on top of stuff as you go and not letting it build up, I would say just put the little investment of time in, it'll save you a lot of stress.
So for me, my tip is make some friends and build like study group. Especially, this is really good, especially when you're having upcoming exams. And this is good for brainstorming as well and having discussion. Some of the topics we don't know yet, but some might know this. So it's really good to have a study buddy. And it will also motivate you to learning. Law is a very hard course, and having a friend and a study buddy is will keep a long way for me. So
There's even literature that says it. If you have one friend in your topic, your grades will automatically go up.
Perfect. All right, I've got 2 tips for you all. My first one is to make connections, make friends. You're in a room full of like-minded people. You're all here because you've chosen to study law. You've all got similar passions and interests. That was something that I found to be one of the best parts about starting university, was just getting to meet so many people that were just like me. And then my second one is to take full advantage of all of the services that Flinders offers. I know I certainly have. If you have any questions, email your mentors, ask your tutors, contact Ask Flinders or the Career Hub or the International Student Services or the Flow Help Desk or the library. Whatever question you have, there's always someone that's going to be able to answer it for you. Take advantage of them.
Fantastic. Over to you. Does anyone have any questions for us? I know it's a big room and there's lots of people in here, and you might just be completely overloaded. We'll come here and then we'll go over that way. Just yell it out, that's fine.
An extension to your criminal law statement, was there any cases that you read that were a bit intense to read?
Many.
Like
Many.
The content of the cases, it was like, oh well, I just read that.
Yep.
There was a criminal case that we read in...
Maybe let's not share all the details.
No.
Yep.
It's one that you use a lot when you're like...
Yes. Can I go take that? So I think in a lot of topics, criminal law is one of them taught. So talking about negligence and things like that is another. You will read distressing cases. It is our job to help you process those, to help you work through them, to help you understand what exactly is coming through in that particular case. Other examples might also be family law, can be a little bit intense. So there will be some things that are quite difficult to cope through at different times. We have a lot of people on staff that have practiced law, and we have lots and lots of tips to help you with that. So yes, there probably will be, but don't stress about it right now.
Did you practice in what area in?
I did family law. So family law was my background, and my teaching background is negotiation and, first year, essential legal skills and torts. Yep. Don't ask me what I've taught in because I will be talking for the next hour. Now, we had a hand over here.
Note-taking, is there a certain structure or layout or approach to it that you think helps more?
That's a tricky one. Every single person takes notes slightly differently in a way that works for them. I know that I take my notes on my laptop. I started in my first year handwriting them all, but I found that it was just taking me too long to get the important information down. So then I transferred to one big, long, massive document for each of my topics, breaking it down by week and then by lecture and readings. That's how I've found it to work best for me. I use subheadings, I use titles, I use different colours and highlighters, but it's, a little bit of trial and error is probably how it's going to work, how everyone's going to work out what works best for them, but yeah.
I actually have a different answer. I took all my notes typing last year, and then exams came around. I rewrote all of my notes handwritten, and I found that it worked a lot better for me to recall that information. So yeah, it is something that you're just going to have to. You've all been through school. You've all got a bit of experience in studying. It's just going to take you a bit to figure out what works specifically for you. But yeah, there's not really one band-aid solution, unfortunately. That would be really helpful for everyone if there was. But yeah.
Just to flag that all of your, as you've said, all of your exams will be handwritten. So getting into the habit of writing is going to be really important. Whether that's your notes, whether that's in practice exam sessions, whether that's just in workshops. I will do a shout out to OneNote. OneNote can be really helpful, and you will have access to that through the uni. So that can be a really good place to store all of your notes and be able to find your way through them, which can be really helpful. But yes, absolutely practice handwriting. One of our lecturers who you will have in criminal law will talk to you about this, and will talk to you from day one of the second semester about getting a stress ball and starting to train those muscles so that you're used to writing. He says it as a joke, but it's not really. Handwriting is a dying art, but we need to be able to write quickly and not cramping up when you're writing in exams. So handwriting is really important. You can. And then
my hand has cramped up in an exam before, so be very prepared for a hand cramp middle of the way through, just shaking your hand off and having to write again.
Yep. And you can take a bottle of water into your exams. That's always helpful, but you can take lollies as well, but make sure the bottle of water you take in is cold, because that can help with your cramping as well. Yes. Yes, they are.
All of your exams are handwritten.
Yep. So they are in-person handwritten exams. So for City Campus students, we actually hold them in the convention centre just down here, and they sort of set it up with little desks and things, and we hold some in this building as well. Yep.
Another little top tip. Get to your exams early. I've gotten to a couple of my exams right on the line, and it is real stressful. I've been running through the halls trying to find the right room. Not a nice way to start your exam.
And it's a big place.
Yeah.
The other thing about exams is that I do run with FULSA an exam skills seminar that happens much later in the semester, closer to exam time. That is specifically for first year students, and we sort of show you what the setup looks like. We give you some tips for answering questions, things like that. So that will happen around about week 10. I would say, other than looking at your assessment and having an idea of whether there is an exam or not, and being minded to take notes as you go, don't even think about exams until about week 10 when we tell you to. And was there a hand over here, or did I mention that? Yes. We do not mark you on spelling. Although I would say that if it's a word that's specifically relevant to the topic, like hint, those of you doing torts, negligence, you better spell that right. So we want you to spell those keywords right. But if you're just writing and there's I tend to, when I'm stressed, I tend to add a letter, like I write in cursive, I tend to add an E to the end of things. It's like with and both and things like that, just get a random E at the end. That is not something we would take marks off for. We don't really look for spelling and grammar in exams. We do in every other piece of written work that you'll ever do, but not in exams. Any other questions? I don't know if anyone's going to answer this question, but is there anything you're feeling nervous about? Yeah, I figured that. All right, let me rephrase that question, but not make you tell me what it is. Put your hand up if you're still feeling a little bit nervous about next week. Yeah, a few hands. Yep. Put your hand down. Put your hands down. Put your hand up if you're feeling less nervous than you did a few hours ago before we started today. Okay, good. That's what I want. And put your hand up if you've met at least, not including us, if you've met at least one person today. Awesome. That's going to be really helpful. All right. So for the very last part of our program, so it's about 4 o'clock. We're finishing a bit early, which is my intention. One of the things, so the other thing about me is I also have a psych degree. So I'm a social scientist, which means I really like research and I really like to gather data and things like that. What we do with this program is we actually change it year to year. So we change how we do things and what we do and how we deliver it based on the feedback from each cohort. So we do have a little, just a quick 1-page evaluation form for you that we would love it. And actually I might just, can you guys split these and hand them out, please? Won't take you very long, but we would love to get your feedback on how today has gone for you, whether we've met your expectations, what you